Course, you're up and about early.
It's such a glorious morning. Besides, I wanted to see if the wind last night did any damage to the garden.
Had it?
Yes, it tore down the clematis off the south wall by the summer house. And it broke a pane of glass in the greenhouse. Deutsche Luftpost München. That'll be from Vicky. How lovely. There's one for you. Typewritten, I'm afraid. Looks like a nasty bill from a shop.
Oh, that, yes. It's from the hospital library, I think, about a book I've asked them for.
Aren't you going to open it?
In a moment. I think I'll go and have my breakfast, if you don't mind.
All right, darling, do. We've all had ours.
You're late.
I know. Sorry, Daddy. I didn't sleep very well. The wind kept me awake.
Yes, well, buck up. You know, I left you a bit of kidney and some bacon.
I'm not that hungry.
Well, at least have a cup of coffee. These girls, they never eat. Oh, something interesting in the post?
Yes, one from Vicky.
Ah.
And a card from Phyllis.
What's Vicky's news?
She seems happy enough. I'll read you what it says.
Yeah, do.
Darling Mummy and Daddy, how is everyone at home? I'm having a lovely time. We all went to the opera last week to see Lohengrin. Julius Patzak was singing. He's the tenor here who all the people adore. He has a withered hand, poor man. Hans, oh dear, I can't pronounce this one. Knappertsbusch, is that right?
Well, it's a good old Bosch name, isn't it? Go on.
Is the conductor and is very good. Ellie von Heineck goes twice a week to a thing called BDM, which stands for Bund Deutscher Mädel, or League of German Girls, which is exactly like our Girl Guides. And Klaus belongs to the same as our Boy Scouts, which they call the Hitler Jugend, which is the German for Hitler's youth. Next year he will be called up for his Arbeitsdienst. That means labour service.
She's quite determined to teach us all German.
Yes, isn't she? Mind you, it is shaming when you think Frau von Heineck writes to us in perfect English. Labour service. They all go to camps, apparently, to dig ditches and work on the land, etc. Very healthy, Klaus says.
I'd agree with that.
Klaus is very nice and very funny. Unfortunately, we can't ski anymore now, as the snow is melting in the Alps, but we went over from the chalet to see a wonderful fairy castle built for King Ludwig of Bavaria, who was mad. It's enormous and all turrets and things, and are my bantams all right? The new hens ought to start laying soon. Please thank Gates for feeding them. Love to all, Vicky. Well, she's all right.
Sounds like it. As long as she's learning something else besides German. Oh, what did Phil have to say?
Just accepting for Easter.
Good.
My father can come, by the way. I had a letter from him yesterday. I don't know about your mother.
Well, she's coming, if her leg's better.
Her leg? You didn't tell me.
She telephoned yesterday. Yeah, poor old girl's got a touch of rheumatism, but doesn't want to make a fuss.
Oh, I am sorry.
My dear, I suspect she will be with us at Easter, come what may.
Yes, I suppose she will be.
Oh, where's Anne off to this morning?
Oh, gone off with Celia Chadwick to walk the course for tomorrow.
Where is that wretched point-to-point?
Over at High Barrow. We shall have to go.
Now, that is 20 miles the other side of Hereford.
Yes, I know it is, but we can't not go and see her ride in her race. She'd be terribly disappointed.
Very well, I will keep the afternoon free. Oh, it might mean I got to postpone the parish council meeting, you know, if we're back late.
Oh, yes, I see. Well, we could leave straight after the ladies' race, if you like.
Yeah, yes, we could.
Look, do you mind going? Only, you think, I think we ought to encourage the girls when they go in for things, even when they're nearly grown up.
Yes.
Well, it's just like going down to St. Mary's to see their sports and lacrosse matches.
Yes, it is.
They do like one to be there.
My dear, I'm agreeing with you.
Besides, you never know, she may win.
I very much doubt that.
Well, I must go and get on with my flowers.
If I'm going to keep the afternoon free, I must go and get on with my paperwork.
I've got to talk to you. Talk away. How was the point-to-point course?
All right. Well, some of the jumps are pretty terrifying from the ground level, especially that open ditch. It's very uphill in places. Poor old Tallulah won't like that. Still, you didn't come in here whispering like that to ask me about the point-to-point course, did you?
No. I just wanted to tell you that I had a long and rather wonderful letter from Brian this morning.
Oh, Liz, did you?
Yes. And I really believe he's as much in love with me as I am with him. Only he's too, well, you know, aware of my feelings to put it into words exactly and upset me. Anyway, he's asked me to meet him tomorrow afternoon outside the library in Holbury and go for a long drive.
Well, that's risky, isn't it?
Well, not really. Well, there won't be anyone about. We'll probably go right away from Holbury, miles into the open country. Oh, it just means... Oh dear, do you mind me?
Missing the race? Of course not, silly. Much more fun to go for a drive with a young man than see me make a fool of myself in front of half the county. You go.
Thanks, darling, for not minding.
Well, I do mind a bit. Not you missing the point-to-point. I do rather mind you going on and on with this hopeless love affair that can never be fulfilled. Surely whatever the situation is with his wife, they can never be divorced anyway. So isn't it all rather, well, a waste of time?
No, Anne, it's not a waste of time. Not when two people are in love like we are. We can still be together from time to time and love each other. Nobody can stop that. As long as we can meet privately, I don't care. It's just his wife. And the wretched Catholic Church.
I know. Poor old Liz. What are you going to tell the parents about tomorrow? Have you thought of an excuse?
Well, I had this letter from Brian this morning. The envelope was typed so neatly that Mummy thought it was from a shop, but I said it was from the hospital library. So, I'm going to say I want to go in tomorrow and get this medical book and read it. So long as you back me up and say you don't mind me not coming to see you ride, I'll be able to meet Brian and spend the afternoon with him.
Okay, I'll back you up all right. I still think you're a fool, but I wouldn't let you down.
Oh, you're a good sister, old thing. You deserve to win your race for that.
Or anything to oblige, old bean. But somehow I'm afraid neither of us will win. The odds are much too long.
Oh, we'll see. Are you nearly ready? We ought to go down.
Well, I suppose I'll do. My hair's a mess as usual.
You look all right. Come on.
Well, there we are. Nearly April, huh? Still, we need a fire.
Yes, it gets chilly when the sun goes down.
Are we late?
We got talking as usual.
No, it's not quite ready yet.
Well, how did those fences look this afternoon? Huh?
Not too bad. Just hope the going stays firm.
Well, I was just looking. No sign of rain. Good fresh wind. Dry the ground.
Oh, and I've ordered a horse box from Sutton's. Is that all right?
I suppose it will have to be.
I want to get over there early with Tallulah and Gates so she can have a canter round.
Anne, I wouldn't exhaust her before the race.
Daddy, don't be mean.
No. After all, she's so unfit, I doubt if she'll get round the course once.
She's not unfit. How dare you say that?
Yes, she is, and so are you. Now, look, Liz Herring, look at this, will you? I mean, all this gadding about, you know? I mean, after cocktail parties and I don't know what. I mean, nothing, not to speak of weekends away.
Well, Gates exercises her when I'm away.
Yeah, gentle canter around the paddock. What that mare needs is a good 5-mile gallop every day.
Arthur, don't tease her.
I don't mind. I can take it, baby.
By the way, I've asked Anne if she'd mind me not coming to the point-to-point tomorrow, and she said she wouldn't mind.
Oh, Liz, why ever not?
Well, I know it sounds awful and selfish, but there's always a lot of room in the public libraries on Saturday afternoons, and, well, one can read the reference books in peace. Well, I'm doing this thesis.
I don't mind, honestly. Well, I know point-to-points bore Liz just as much as I'd be bored stiff reading books about horrible diseases all afternoon.
Oh, I see. Well, it'll just have to be your father and me.
Fine.
Well, what about Nanny?
Oh, no, she won't come. It's too cold for her standing on the roof of the car. Besides, you wouldn't see anything, not with her size.
I don't want a great family audience, especially since my father seems quite certain I'm going to make a fool of myself.
Well, I'm quite sure you won't, darling.
All I want to do is beat that horrible Mrs. Appleton. I don't care if I'm last but one, so long as I finish in front of her.
Oh, hey. Who on earth is this Mrs. Appleton?
Oh, a terrible, rather shrill woman with dyed hair and several very expensive horses who shows off out hunting.
I know the one you mean. You pointed her out to us once at the meet. She was shouting at everyone, including the master, at the top of her voice.
That's her. They've recently come to live near Leominster from the Beaufort country. So naturally, my dear gal, she thinks she's slumming it. I've just got to beat Brenda Appleton.
Everything's ready on the hot plate, madam.
Ah, thank you, Mrs. Gates. Oh, by the way, we'll be taking a picnic lunch with us tomorrow to the Point to Point. Is there some cold chicken left over from yesterday?
Oh, yes, madam, and I could do you some sandwiches as well. Tomatoes, lettuce, would that do? And some hard-boiled eggs.
Oh, that'll be lovely. Oh, and just one thermos of coffee, I think, should be enough. It's just the Commander, Miss Anne, and myself. Liz, now, what about lunch for you?
Oh, don't worry about me. I'll get something in Horbury.
Right. Oh, you might use what's left over of the gentleman's relish for the sandwiches. The Commander's very fond of that, aren't you?
Right, the old pattern paperium. Yes, indeed. Very expensive, worth every penny.
Well, thank you, Mrs. Gates. We'll come in now if it's ready.
Well, come along, you two. You know, I think I'm going to have a bet on Anne tomorrow. You know, when the bookies spot that broken down in the window mare, you know, they'll offer 200 to 1 against and get no takers. Huh?
If you say any more rude things about my beautiful Tallulah or me, Daddy, I'll scratch your eyes out, I really will.
Yes, and so will I, Daddy. After all, she's my sister.
Come along, Helen. We're going. We ought to be off, you know.
Wait.
Gone 12. Going to take a good hour.
We're just waiting for the thermos of coffee. Nanny's getting it.
Uh-huh. Well, what about the lunch hamper?
Well, it's already in the car, and the Macs, and the rugs.
You can put a shilling on Anne each way for me, just in case she manages to get in front.
All right, darling, we will. Here's your coffee, Mrs. Bourne. Nice and hot. And I put 3 cups in the hamper.
Oh, well done, Nanny. I'll take that.
Wash now. Put silver paper around the cork in case it leaks.
Right, well, now come along then.
Well, we'll be back sometime after tea, Nanny. Now, darling, are you sure you'll be all right?
I shall be fine.
Oh, sorry, dear. Look, if we're not back before 6, would you telephone Jack Watts, tell him to postpone the council meeting until I get back?
Yes, I will. Sure you know the way?
Yes.
We'll find it.
Enjoy yourselves. Well, that's them off.
Yeah, it's a shame you couldn't go with them.
I could have, Nanny. I just didn't want to. Anne understands. I just loathe Point to Point.
But if you should want to lunch in, dearie, Mrs. Gates can easily make you an omelette. She's offered you.
No, thank you. I'm going out myself in a few minutes. Tell her not to bother. I'll get something in Horbury.
Oh, very well. As long as you do know.
Oh, go and have the nanny.
Yes, just driven off. Not Miss Elizabeth, though. I don't know what she's up to this afternoon. Going into Horbury, she says. Just an excuse to drive that motor car of hers, if you ask me.
Well, she's never been all that interested in riding. Not since she went off to boarding school,
Oh,
really.
before that, Irene, no. Oh, she took against it. One time when she fell off the donkey in the orchard when she was 10. Do you not remember?
Oh, yes, of course I do. Yeah. That Easter, wasn't it?
Oh, so.
Fancy a cup of tea, Nanny? I've just made a pot.
Well, if you've made it, I wouldn't mind one, thank you.
I don't know what time Fred'll be back. It'll depend, I suppose, on the traffic getting away from the course.
When did Mrs. Bourne order the dinner for?
8:15. No one else, as far as I know, is just the 4 of them. Ah, there you are, Nanny. Nice and strong, just how you like it, eh?
Thank you.
Well, that's my vegetables done. Now, I think I'll drink my tea, and then I'll go over to the lodge and have a nice lie down till Fred gets back.
Yes, I would if I were you.
Nanny, why don't you have a nice quiet afternoon too, while you've got the chance? You need to take care, you know, when you've not been well.
Oh, yes, I will have a grand fire going in the schoolroom and a bit of darning to get on with, and when my wireless, expect there'll be a nice concert on.
Look at that wind still. Oh, I do hate a strong wind. I'm always afraid the old cedar tree will blow down and fall on the house.
It would take more than a fresh March wind to blow down our cedar tree, Irene. No, they say it's hundreds of years old, with its roots deep in the earth.
Ah, well, that's a comfort anyway.
Oh, the telephone. Oh, dear. I'm coming. Oh, dear. Hello? Hello, yes, who is it? Oh, Mrs. Bourne, yes. Yes, it's Nanny speaking. What? I can't hear you very well. Oh, mercy me. Where? In the infirmary? And is she badly hurt? Oh, I see, yes. Yes, I will, yes. Yes, I see. Yes, I'll telephone now. Yes, Mrs. Bourne. Yeah. What's that number now? Oh. Exchange. Oh, Irene, oh, thank goodness you're still here.
Nanny, what is it? What's happened?
That's Mrs. Bourne on the telephone. Miss Anne's had a very bad fall. Oh. And they've taken her to Hereford in the ambulance that Mrs. Bourne was speaking from the infirmary.
Oh, dear God, no.
Now, I phoned Dr. Cropper, but both he and Dr. Harrington are out, so I've left a message. Now, the commander's going to phone here later when they've got more news.
I was just beginning to wonder what had happened to them. Fred said he'd be back here by 6 sharp. Well, it's 1:30 now. I was just beginning to wonder what had gone wrong.
Now, the commander and Mrs. Bourne may be back later. It all depends. What they want dinner put back, anyway. Now, you see, they've got to wait until they get the result of the doctor's examination. Oh, my, that child. She's always a daredevil and a horse. It's not the first time she's come off either. Oh, I hope it's nothing serious.
Now, look there.
No, I better go and prepare Anne's room, just in case they bring her back with them.
Nanny, I think it sounded like the car.
Oh, my goodness me, I hope it's them.
I think it is. How bad is she? I just heard Nanny tell me. Is it serious?
We can't be sure yet. Did you manage to get hold of Dr. Cropper or Dr. Harrington?
No, well, they were both out, but I've left a message with the maid.
Please, tell us what happened.
Darling, she She came down pretty heavily on the other side of the course. It's a very nasty fall. Not clean out. Too far away. We couldn't see very well.
They think she might not recover consciousness for some little time. Meanwhile, she's under observation.
God. They're carrying out various tests over the next few hours, from the X-rays and so on.
Isn't anyone with her?
Yes, that's what I was wondering.
Well, there was nothing we could do there, Nanny, not until they brought her round and examined her. They advised us to come home with her things.
Nanny, I'm going back to the hospital immediately after dinner. Now, the nurses, they'll take care of her.
God. Will she be all right?
We must just pray, darling.
See, it's my fault, you know. If anything happens, it's entirely my fault.
Arthur, how can you possibly say that? That's ridiculous. It's nobody's fault.
I knew that Anne was unfit, and I knew the mayor was too. Instead of making idiotic jokes about it, I should have forbidden her to ride a race under those conditions. I should have put my foot down. It's too late now.
Please, Arthur, don't. This is no time for guilt or recriminations.
My dear, I'll never forgive myself if...
If what? Well, she's not in any danger, is she?
Liz, when the ambulance men picked her up, they said she'd probably broken her left arm, a couple of ribs. She's very badly concussed, of course. And
her arm was hanging very limp.
Yes, but that's not dangerous, is it? Just a broken arm.
No, but you see, darling, she was kicked on the head as well, you see, and it's a question of possible damage to the brain. That's what we have to wait now to be told. So we must all be very patient and try not to worry.
Anne, why?
Going well. That's the hard thing about it. Lying second as far as I could see. Mind you, she was riding the mare for all she was worth, was Miss Anne, until Lula was tiring. She hit two fences running real hard close to where I was, and then they disappeared out into the country. I was stood in a farm cart. I couldn't see much. There was a gentleman stood near me following the runners through his glasses. He says to me, "Number 3's falling back a bit." Well, that was Miss Anne. She dropped back from 2nd to about 4th. And then all of a sudden, this gentleman says, "Cool, there's one come down, hit that fence hard and come a proper tumble."
Could you see that it was her?
No, too far away to see the numbers or make out the colours. After a bit, they put up the white flag for the ambulance to go out. I could see that. Well, the gentleman knew I was worried, so he lent me his glasses. And I could see a small crowd standing around one of the jumps. Somehow I knew it was Miss Anne come down on Tallulah. I just felt it in my bones.
Well, there'll be some news before long, seeing the commander's gone back to the infirmary already.
Couldn't touch his dinner, poor man.
Well, I'll get back to the lodge then, Eileen. I'll put these in the tack room for her and get out in my leggings.
Yes, all right, Fred. I'll be over soon.
Listen, is that a car?
Yes, I think it is. It must be Daddy.
But he said he was going to ring first from the infirmary. I wonder why he...
He wouldn't ring. It can't be him.
Well, who can it be at this hour?
I'll go and see.
Not alone, are you?
No, my mother's here.
Come about your sister.
Yes, she's been hurt. How did you know?
There was a message waiting at the surgery after I left you.
Be careful.
Of course.
Come in. It's Dr. Harrington, Mummy.
Oh, Dr. Harrington, how kind of you to turn out. Well, it's just that my husband wanted you to know about Anne's accident. As our family doctor, he thought you should know.
Of course, and I'm very sorry to hear about it. How badly injured was she?
Well, we can't be sure yet. I mean, not until they've examined her thoroughly. Oh, please do take a seat. She was taken straight to the Hereford Infirmary from the point-to-point, you see.
Yes, your nanny left a message with Rhoda at the surgery.
They seem to think that she's broken some bones, possibly her arm. But it's this kick in the head. She was still unconscious when we left her at 5 o'clock this afternoon.
Yes, I see. Well, severe concussion can cause a longish period of unconsciousness. They'll be able to x-ray the skull pretty rapidly, of course, and see that everything's all right there. And electrical tests for the...
You mean encephalograph? I don't suppose you could go over to Hereford and find out. I mean, as our doctor, ask them what her condition really is.
Well, naturally, I should be getting a report from the infirmary in due course, but unfortunately, I can't really intervene at this stage while she's under the doctors there. I mean, I would gladly drive over to Hereford, but quite honestly, it wouldn't be quite ethical.
Oh, no, I quite understand. Well, we're expecting a call from my husband at any moment, so perhaps there'll be some news then. Would you like a whiskey or something?
No, thank you. It's awfully kind of you. Don't think so. If you like, I'd be happy to wait here until your husband telephones.
Oh, there. That'll be him. Hello. Oh, hello, Marjorie. Oh, well, how kind of you to inquire. No, there's no news yet. Not to say definitely how bad she... What? Oh, were you there? Oh, we didn't see you. Yes, I know. Poor darling. No, still unconscious. Arthur's at the infirmary now with the doctors waiting for... Yes, isn't it? Tomorrow, yes, do. Well, we should have more news by then. Well, thank you so much for ringing. Goodbye. Just a neighbour inquiring after Anne. She was there this afternoon.
Marjorie Warren?
Yes.
If your husband doesn't telephone through soon, perhaps you'd like me to, well, phone them. I think on reflection, I could do that as your GP without offending anyone.
Oh, would you now? That would be so kind. If you're quite sure...
I don't think we'd want you to do anything on our behalf that wasn't correct practice, Dr. Harrington.
Well, I'll take a chance on that. Anne is my patient.
Perhaps we should give it a little longer.
As you wish.
Do change your mind and have a whiskey and soda, won't you?
Perhaps a small one.
I'll pour you one. Well, shall I take your coat?
Oh, thank you.
Mummy?
No, thank you. Oh, well, yes, just a little one, darling. Thank you, darling.
Helen? Helen? Helen, where are you?
In Anne's room, darling.
Darling, I didn't telephone because there's no news. They won't be sure about her head until tomorrow.
God.
I hear young Harrington came by, offered his services.
Yes, he was very kind. He telephoned the matron for us. Well, we were all so desperate for news.
Yes. Yes, of course.
Oh, God, it's a nightmare. I keep thinking of that Pemberton child. You know those people over at Lower Markle who had that ghastly motor accident? That little girl went right through the windscreen. She was 14 then. She's 20 now. She can't even, well, do anything. They have to have a special nurse for her. And
Helen, don't. Please. Darling, have faith. That's all we can do. Now, come on. Out of here. We'll go down. We'll talk to Liz.
yes,
When she's all by herself. We'll have a tot of whiskey. Now, that'll help.
Mummy says, are you coming to church with us or going later on this evening?
No, I'll wait and go this evening. I'm putting a clean nightie and one or two other things for Anne. If someone's going over later.
Yes, we're going over to the hospital after we get back from church. I don't think a book will be much good, Nanny. Anne is still unconscious and maybe for some time.
I'll put it in anyway, for later on.
Nanny.
The wind's getting up.
Oh.
I hear the car go off again.
Yes, you did. They've gone to the hospital.
Oh, I see.
Commander and Mrs. Bourne and Miss Elizabeth. Why?
Oh, no, the vet's here to have a look at the mare. I thought the commander might like to come over and speak to him.
Well, it's already gone. Well, you'll have to get the vet's report and then tell him when he comes back, won't you?
Yeah, it's all right.
Did he say whether the horse is injured?
No, she's all right. It's just a bit stiff in one knee joint. He's put her on a poultice. Otherwise, she's none the worse for a tumble, poor old thing.
Nanny says poor Miss Anne's still unconscious. After all this time. She must have had a real nasty knock.
Rotten, eh? I heard the old rector ask the congregation to say a prayer for her in church this morning. I reckon she must be bad for that to happen.
It's her head. That's the trouble. You there, Nanny?
Yes,
Your lunch is ready.
just coming.
Well, I'll be getting back then to see the vet.
Ask him to telephone the commander in the morning, Fred.
Right.
There you are, Nanny. Nice little steak and kidney pie for you today. And some cauliflower. You like cauliflower, don't you?
Yes, thank you. I'll just take it up then, Eileen. Thank you very much.
I was asleep.
Yes, I know. You're home now. You slept all the way home in the ambulance. No, don't try and talk, darling. You've got to keep very quiet. You've had severe concussion.
What day? When? Where was...
You had a nasty fall in the race on Saturday. You were unconscious all Sunday and most of yesterday.
Was I?
Mm-hmm. You only came round last night, about 7 o'clock.
Did I?
Just for a few moments. In the infirmary.
I don't suppose you can remember that, do you?
I can't remember anything. Except getting up onto Lula and cantering out. And then... Was she?
Yeah, she's quite all right. Daddy's had the vet's report. She's just got a stiff knee joint. But they've treated it. Gates says she's eating well. We have Dr. Harrington to thank for getting you home. He's been quite wonderful, hasn't he, Nanny?
Oh, yes. You see, they were inclined to keep you in for a few more days there, but he persuaded them to let you home.
It wasn't very nice in the infirmary, darling.
Am I badly damaged? My shoulder hurts terribly. I can't move it.
Well, it was dislocated. But it'll soon get better if it's rested.
Oh, I see.
Your head's been cut a little too, and you had a few stitches in it. Thank God there's no other damage. We were quite worried about your poor old head, weren't we, Nanny?
Oh, yes.
I wonder if Tallulah kicked me or one of the other horses.
Well, I expect it were one of the others, dearie.
Oh, here's Daddy to see you. Nanny and I will leave you now. We'll go and get you some hot beef tea and a few biscuits if you feel like something, do you?
I'll try.
Not too long, darling. The doctor's coming at 12. She mustn't get tired.
I won't.
Sorry, Daddy.
Well, what have you got to be sorry about?
Coming off. You said I'd make a fool of myself.
Well, that was my fault. Should never have let you ride.
It wasn't Tallulah's fault, Daddy. She galloped beautifully and she was jumping well. Most of the way. I can't quite remember. But I think I got very puffed. When I put her at the open ditch, second time round, I just vaguely remember that I couldn't help her. I had no strength left. And we sort of dived right through it. I saw stars. And then something hit me in the back and everything went black.
It's all right, darling. It's all right. It's all over now. Just thank God you're alive.
Where's Liz?
Well, she's gone over to the Dennisons for your mother. Take some things for a jumble sale or something. She'll be back quite soon. Now come in, Liz.
Good morning. Mrs. Bourne said it was all right to come up.
Yes, of course, Harrington.
How is she, sir?
Well, I think much better this morning. Yeah, quite her old self.
Good.
Well, I'll leave you.
Bye, Daddy.
I'll just have a look at this head of yours first. If we can get you propped up.
Oh dear. I brought some beef tea. I didn't know you were here, Dr. Harrington.
Oh, never mind, Nanny. Just put it down somewhere. It can always be warmed up again. I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you for your help.
Well, certainly.
Could you bring the extra pillows? Thank you. Now, careful. That's it. Good. How's the old head feel?
Rather sore.
Well, it will for a time, with all those stitches in it. Now, tell me if it hurts.
Harrington's with us, so I came out.
Yes, I know. He's such a nice young man. I think we ought to invite him here for a drink one Sunday.
Yes, think we should. This old cropper's going all together, isn't he, quite soon? This young fellow, my lad, is going to be in charge of the health of the family. Fact should be recognised.
Let's wait till Anne's up and about. Ask him at Easter.
Yes, we can. Well, when does his wife come down, do you suppose?
Well, she was coming in a month's time, according to Cropper. That was at Christmas. From Wolverhampton. Suppose it's a question of accommodation. I haven't heard anything since. Well, I must go and fill the stoves in the greenhouse in case we have frost tonight.
I think I'll join you. I could do with a breath of air.
Oh, I nearly forgot. You'll never guess who sent some flowers for Anne with such a nice note this morning.
Mr. and Mrs. Wickham?
Yes, you know, that schoolmaster and his wife from Horbury.
Oh, good Lord.
Yes, I was rather touched too. I've just written to thank them.
Well, you know, I'm not altogether surprised. You know. I quite liked her, and I thought he was quite a decent chap. Well, underneath.
There we are. Not too tight?
No.
How about that beef tea now?
Oh, I'm afraid it won't be very hot now, but I'll slip down to the kitchen and warm it up. I won't be a minute.
How painful is that shoulder of yours?
Pretty foul. It aches so much, you know?
I expect it's keeping you awake at night, isn't it?
Yes. I can't get properly comfortable.
And I think you should have a little painkiller, don't you?
I don't know. Should I?
I think so. A little laudanum will help to ease the pain and make sure that you get a decent night's sleep.
All right. So long as it doesn't send me unconscious for another 3 days.
Well, it won't do that. It'll just make you a little drowsy. Have a little water. It'll help to take the taste away. There we are. Now, just a drink of beef tea when it comes, and then you can go to sleep again.
Oh, hello, Dr. Harrington. I didn't know you were here. I've been out.
Oh, good morning. It's all right to come in. We've finished, haven't we?
How are you feeling?
Not too bad. I've just had some laudanum to stop the pain in my shoulder.
excuse me, Doctor. Now, here's a brief tea, dearie. Nice and hot now. I'll just put it down here beside you and you can sip it whenever you feel like it.
Thank you, Nanny.
Now, if you want anything at all, I'm in the schoolroom with the door open. You just call me, will you? My darling.
How soon will she be able to get up?
Well, that depends on her shoulder and on that head, of course. We should be able to take the stitches out in a week, but it's absolutely essential after severe concussion to keep absolutely quiet for several days. So I'm afraid you're in for quite a spell in bed.
Oh dear, I should be so bored.
I'll come and read to you.
Would you?
Of course, we all will. And when you're much better, you can have your portable gramophone.
Well, ladies, I shall leave you now. Plenty of sleep and not too much talking.
All right.
I'll come and see you off. Brian.
Shh.
I can't stand it much longer.
I'm on duty, Liz.
I don't care.
Just tell Mrs. Bourne that I'll look in again at the same time tomorrow.
Yes, I will.
Don't bother to come down. I know the way.
Goodbye, Dr. Harrington, and thank you for coming.
I was just seeing the doctor out. Did you kiss? I thought so. Have some of your beef tea.
I couldn't. After all, I'm so terribly sleepy. Sorry.
Okay. You go back to sleep then.
Poor Liz. It must be so awful.
I'll survive. So will you.
She's doing fine.
Good girl, huh?
I suppose it's a good idea, but I don't like the idea of Anne riding again so soon, especially with her arm still in a sling.
Oh, nonsense, Hetty. She's got to get her confidence back. Taking it very slowly. Gedge is watching her like a cat with a kitten. She's had enough. She's coming in.
Oh, good. I told her not to push herself too hard. More tea, Phyllis? Thank you. How long will Liz be in Wales?
Oh, all over Easter. I do hope the change does her good. She's been looking so peaky lately.
Do I know the friend she's staying with?
No, I don't think so. It's one of her old college classmates. Nice girl. A bit intense.
I'm very glad you could drive up early, Phil. Mother and child not coming up until tomorrow.
Well, when I realised I could get up today, I asked Mother if she'd like to come with me. Drive up, she said, in your car? Certainly not, Phyllis, I'll take the train. She still doesn't think I'm safe behind a steering wheel, and I really can't think why. She never questions anyone else's capability.
Hello, Aunt Phyllis. I saw you racing up the drive.
I saw you racing round the paddock. How are you feeling now?
Oh, I'm all right.
No, she's not.
Yes, I am, Mummy. Except for this arm. My back aches a little. And my left leg, too, if I walk too far. My neck's still a little bit stiff.
And apart from that, she's in the best of health.
There, take your tea, darling. Be careful now. Don't spill it.
Have you heard all the gory details about my accident, Aunt Phyllis? They thought they'd have to shoot me.
To be perfectly honest, Anne, I heard they had.
Well, have you heard about Gerald, too?
Has he been shot?
No, Gerald Hope Langley, who's coming up for Easter.
Not a word. Who is he?
You'll love him. He's an actor.
An actor?
Oh, Anne does click the most extraordinary people.
Daddy, do stop going on about it. Daddy thinks actors are a cross between African witch doctors and dancing bears.
Oh, can you imagine what Father would have said if you'd invited an actor down here?
Oh, I think I'd rather not.
You're being so stuffy, Daddy. He's really very nice, Aunt Phyllis. And he's very handsome.
What's his name again?
Gerald Hope Langley.
No, I don't think I've heard of him. Is he in anything at the moment?
Well, he's resting just now, but he hopes to go up to Nottingham in a couple of weeks to play Algernon in The Importance of Being Earnest.
Might I have seen him in the West End?
He hasn't actually acted in London yet, but he will, probably quite soon.
Well, so long as he doesn't come down to breakfast with grease paint on his face.
Oh, stop it, Arthur. You're not really such a bigot. All the stage people I know are quite charming. And I seem to remember you spent the entire evening at one of my supper parties talking to Cécile Joubert, and she's on the stage.
Oh, that's different. She's not a man.
Well, not all men want to spend their lives splicing the main brace or hoisting the rigging.
Hoisting the what?
Whatever it is they do on boats. You will be nice to him, won't you, Daddy? Promise me you won't say anything rude whilst he's here.
Oh, we'll see.
Of course your father won't say anything rude, darling. When have we ever been rude to a guest in this house?
I know, it's just that Daddy has a way of saying something quite ordinary and making it sound like an insult.
Gerald is your guest, darling, and we're not going to sharpen our wits on him.
Dear, why can't Vicky be on time for tea?
Where is she?
Taken my bike into the village to be mended. I must say she looked terribly wobbly, riding her own bike with one hand and holding mine with the other.
I hope she'll be all right. One of you in bandages is quite enough.
Can we come in?
Of course.
We only came in to see if you were comfortable.
No, you didn't. You came in for a chat. Well, sit down and tell me all about your Mr. Hope Langley.
Anne only asked him because Michael Sherwood couldn't come.
He's gone abroad with his parents.
Sir Gerald's second choice.
Don't tell him that, darling. He'd hate to think he was the understudy.
I'm dying to see him. Anne's been telling me how handsome he is ever since she first met him.
How did you meet him?
He was at school with Bunny Bickerton. I met him at their dance. Oh, I'm sure you'll like him, Aunt Phyllis. He's so good-looking and terribly interested in music. He really is. Oh, and you will make sure Daddy doesn't make him feel uncomfortable, won't you?
We all will.
Granny and Grandpa come tomorrow, so we must get them on our side too.
Vicky, I'm sure it won't come to size.
What are these tickets for?
Oh, those are for the first night of the new Ivor Novello play. Ivor sent me the tickets and asked me to a party afterwards at his flat in Aldwych.
How exciting.
What will you wear?
Let me see.
I don't think I shall go.
Not go?
Well, I can't go on my own, and the only man I could possibly ask to take me is Cousin Johnny, and he'll be away.
Dismal Cousin Johnny.
I thought perhaps your mother and father might like to use them. Well, off to bed, you two, if you want to look your best for Mr. Hope Langley.
Good night.
Night, night.
I adored that show. Jack Buchanan and Elsie Randolph.
I saw it 3 times. You know, you're a little bit like Jack Buchanan, aren't you?
Like him? Am I?
Graceful. No, that's not the word. Style. That's it. Jack Buchanan has style. Lots and lots of style, and so have you.
It's more important than a good profile, really.
It shows itself in little things. Movement here, a word there. One either has it or one hasn't. Can you imagine Marlene Dietrich as Shanghai Lil without style?
Without style, she'd probably have made Clive Brook laugh.
Did you ever see Shanghai Express, Anne?
See what?
Shanghai Express?
No.
Oh, you must. It's a marvellous film. When I was in Charlie's Aunt in Aberdeen, I forgot about the skirt, and I turned too suddenly and almost fell into the orchard.
I've brought you some more coffee.
Oh, thank you, dear. That's fine.
Alice and I are just going to do some flower arrangements for the house and then cut as many as we can for the church.
What is Phyllis playing at? Well, what is she playing at?
Debussy, one of his later preludes.
Yes, that's right. Yes, it's one of the later ones.
La Fille aux Cheveux de Lin, I believe.
Well, she wasn't invited here to play French pieces on the piano to Mr. Langley Hope.
I think you'll find that young man's name is Hope Langley.
Oh, is it?
Yes, awkward for an actor.
What is?
Double-barreled names. Of course, though, where the Forbes Robertsons and the Nielsen Terriers take up an awful lot of room on a theatre programme, you know.
What do?
Double-barreled names. Well, I'd give up Hope.
You're not an actor, Father.
No, I just call myself Gerald Langley, if I were he. It's quite enough.
Oh, dear, she's getting completely carried away.
Oh, she's enjoying herself.
Phyllis is a very gifted young woman. And after all, it is Easter.
Hardly the time for musical comedy duets.
Well, it is only Saturday, my dear. And she has switched to Debussy.
Yes, I suppose so.
No doubt we shall all be awakened tomorrow morning with a spirited rendering of the strife is o'er, the battle done.
Oh, not by Phyllis. Nanny usually takes her breakfast in bed when she's here. Vicky, more likely.
Yes, well, if I'm wanted, I shall be with Alice in the flower room.
And if I'm wanted, I shall be in dreamland, piano permitting. After that excellent lunch, I can't keep my eyes open.
That's right, Father. You have a good snooze.
I hope I don't dream about Preston Minor, my recurring nightmare.
Well, who is Preston Minor?
Oh, he's a lower boy in my house. Dirty habits and tiresome parents. Oh, dearie me.
What are you doing?
On my 12th birthday, I picked some flowers and pressed them in a book. I remember doing it very clearly. Do you remember?
No? You probably dreamt it. You know what you're like with dreams.
No, I didn't. I definitely pressed some flowers to commemorate my birthday.
Make it sound like a death. Why are you so suddenly worried about it now, anyway?
Oh, I don't know. Came into my mind this morning. And now I can't find them. It's beginning to annoy me.
Which book did you press them in?
If I could remember that, I'd be able to find them, wouldn't I? Really, Anne, your accident must have affected your brain.
My accident has only affected my ability to strangle you. I know. Close your eyes and try to imagine yourself doing it. Then you'll be able to remember what the book looked like.
Oh, it's no use. All I can remember is that it was a book that no one could possibly want to read.
That's a fat lot of help. This house is full of books no one wants to read. Do you think Gerald is attractive?
I think he's the most handsome man I've ever seen. I think Klaus is quite handsome. Not like Gerald, more sort of solid, more squared off. You know, handsome without being the slightest bit beautiful. Whereas Gerald is just a little bit beautiful too, isn't he?
Do you mean feminine?
Oh, no. I can't imagine Gerald spending his Easter marching off with a spade on his shoulder to dig ditches. Well, that's what Klaus is doing. He enjoys his Labour Corps service.
Doesn't surprise me.
Do you think Aunt Phyllis finds Gerald attractive?
Aunt Phyllis? Why?
Well, Gerald has spent most of his time with her since he got here, hasn't he?
I don't know. It only looks that way because he likes to listen to her play the piano.
Yes, I know, but they keep on talking about actors and plays that we've never heard of. They might as well be talking Japanese.
Well, it's not their fault we never go to the theatre, is it? Well, I mean, of course Gerald talks about it all the time. It is his job. Aunt Phyllis knows quite a few stage people. Well, she met Leslie Hart a little while ago when she played at a charity concert.
Lucky her.
It wasn't Gerald's fault that I couldn't go for a walk yesterday afternoon either. It was my fault for falling off Tallulah.
Well, I wouldn't have thought he and Aunt Phyllis really needed to walk for 3 whole hours.
Take as many daffodils as I can. Mrs. Hibbert's already put scores of lovely jonquils on the altar.
What about some freesias?
Well, I should take some, I suppose, but they're so lovely. I'd like to keep them all for the house.
After all, it is Easter, Helen, and we could sacrifice a few just for heavenly glory.
Well, just one bunch for the lady chapel, then. Will you come with me?
Yes, I think I will. To help me to digest my lunch. I should never have eaten that apple pie. But Mrs. Gates's pastry is the best I've tasted since the very first cook that Billy and I ever had left us and went to work for the Cavendish Bentings.
Oh, that is lovely. Thank you so much. They're beautiful.
I hope you've managed to make sure the girls are learning to cook, Helen. There's so much change going on now. One doubts whether they'll ever be able to have cooks all their life.
Oh, no. That's not for freesias, dear.
Oh.
This one's the right one. There.
I remember Billy saying just before he died that we were probably belonging to the last fortunate generation.
Oh, I'm sure the future's not going to be that bad for the Merleys.
Oh, so, my dear. But I do think they should be able to roast a joint of lamb.
Oh, they can. They are all very good at cooking, especially Vicky. Well, she's creative anyway. Elizabeth is competent. Anne throws in all the ingredients and hopes for the best. But Vicky really is quite creative in the kitchen. Of course, she's artistic anyway. The eggs she painted for the Sunday school children are really very pretty.
Did she paint them with cochineal again?
Yes, and she manages to do such fine patterns. Well, I think I'll ask Anne and Gerald to take them over to the rectory in a few moments. I would like to get Phyllis away from Gerald. I'm very annoyed at the way she's monopolised him ever since he arrived.
I rather thought that was Gerald monopolising Phyllis.
Gerald is Anne's guest. That poor girl has been left out of everything. I mean, did they need to stay out for 3 whole hours yesterday afternoon? Poor Anne was hanging around the house like a damp rag. They knew she was too unfit to go with them. It really was too unfair. Phyllis should be more thoughtful.
Well, Phyllis hasn't found the romantic side of life as easy and carefree as Anne has, Helen.
I hardly think that's the point, Alice.
You must remember that Phyllis was only Anne's age when she lost her fiancé.
Lots of girls lost their first love in the war. Others got over it and married someone else. I hardly think that that's an excuse for her flinging herself at Anne's young man.
I don't think Phyllis is flinging herself at anyone. Anne's a sweet girl, but she's a country girl. She knows nothing about art or the theatre. Of course this young man finds Phyllis interesting. Phyllis is a very interesting woman when she tries to be. Though for some reason she doesn't always try to be.
Well, apart from upsetting Anne, it's very ill-mannered of Gerald to come down here at Anne's invitation and spend all his time with Phyllis.
Well, I can't quarrel with the etiquette, Helen, but I don't think it's entirely Phyllis's fault. In fact, I think it would do Anne good to have a little competition. That girl depends far too much on her face. I've seen beautiful women reach 40 and have nothing left in life but misery, despair, because they've never taken the trouble to cultivate their personality more than fluttering their eyelashes.
Tea for two and two for tea, me for you and you for me.
No, Gerald, look. Tea for two and two for tea.
Ah.
Oh, I'll never get
Volunteers to take the eggs to the rectory. Anne?
Oh, I'll go, Helen. I'd love to see Mr. Fuller, and I'll take my car.
I say, were you serious about letting me drive your Buick?
Of course. You can drive it now, if you like.
How splendid.
Well, the one thing I must
Perhaps Anne would like to go
start,
too.
You have to be very careful and give it a break each side.
Doesn't matter.
The eggs were lovely, Vicky. Why don't you go up to the schoolroom and paint some more for our breakfast tomorrow?
All right, Mummy.
You've got that look of pent-up fury that you used to have as a little girl, just before you kicked something.
I feel like kicking something.
Now, you remember what I used to tell you. Kicking things only ruins your shoes. Much better to use the other end of your anatomy to solve your problems. And talking of shoes, I'm going up to change mine. It's far too fine an afternoon to sit indoors.
Now, I've put everything for the church there. Is that enough?
Oh, I think that should be plenty. Shall we go and get ready now?
Yes. Lovely.
Aren't they beautiful?
Perfectly beautiful.
Well, you did rather grind the gears on the bend by the bakery.
Yes, I should have doubled declutched, shouldn't I? Marvellous acceleration. Here, catch. I must say, your rector looked a bit shocked when we roared up to his front door.
Oh, Fuller. Yes, he did rather. I expect he was surprised to see me with a handsome young man in my car. He's been rector here for years. I remember how endless his sermons seemed to me when I was a child. And you know, he doesn't seem a lot older to me now than he did then. Well, perhaps he went grey rather early.
I suppose he gets that voice from decades of psalm reading. Miss Bourne, how delightful. I shall have to remember him the next time I play a clergyman.
Have you played many clergymen?
Well, I did once play the Reverend Davidson in Somerset Maugham's Reign. No, he was quite a clergyman, but I usually get the shallow, juvenile leads. You are lucky, Phyllis, living permanently in London and seeing all the plays. Whenever there's anything I want to see frantically, I seem to be starring in something turgid by Chekhov in Leeds. And by the time I get to see the play, the original cast has scattered. And I hardly ever seem to be free to go to other people's first nights.
We seem to have the same problem for very dissimilar reasons. I have to miss a first night next week. Well, not because I'm not free to go, but because I simply can't find anyone to go with. Ivor sent me 2 tickets and asked me to his party afterwards.
Ivor?
And I feel...
Ivor Novello?
Yes. He gives the most marvellous parties. I've never met a man who likes to give parties as much as he does. In fact, I've never met a man who so enjoys seeing other people happy.
But you must go. How could you have no one to go with? My God, I'd give my right arm to go with you. Oh, don't tell me your admirers are such slackers that they'd let you miss something like that.
Well, it's just that everyone seems a little busy at the moment. Would you like to go? I mean, you wouldn't feel uncomfortable being with me?
My dear Phyllis, how could anyone be uncomfortable with you? I should be proud and honoured to escort you anywhere.
Then you can escort me to Ivor's first night.
Yeah, and then I could take you on to his flat afterwards so that you wouldn't arrive at the party alone. I'm sure you'll know plenty of people once you arrive there.
Oh, no, Gerald, you must come to the party too. I'll ring Ivor and ask to bring you. I know he'll be delighted.
I can't believe it. How marvellous. We shall have the most fantastic evening together, and I shall buy you masses of orchids. Phyllis, you are the very best thing that's happened to me since I escaped from the school rugby team. Tell me, who'll be there?
Oh, the usual crowd, I expect. Gladys Cooper, Isabel Jeans. Oh, Noel Coward, if he's in London. Constance Collier, Zena and Phyllis Dare, Lily Elsie, Lillian Braithwaite, Dickie Rose.
Richard D. Rose?
He backs most of Ivor's plays.
Yes, I know he does.
Did you find them?
No.
We must have aprons. Look, they're in the cupboard.
We just have to get dirty.
What's the matter? What is it?
It's Aunt Phyllis.
Are they back?
She's asked him to go to that first night with her.
No.
And the party.
Is he going?
A party given by Ivor Novello.
Well, it's a bit thick, isn't it?
Why does she think he's going? 'Cause she's so beautiful? 'Cause he just adores her company?
He's just using her, isn't he?
It doesn't take half an eye to see that. She's making a fool of herself.
How can she want to go out with him? She's 10 years older than he is. I can't imagine how any woman could bear to go out with a man younger than herself. It's quite disgusting. I wish Liz were here. She'd know what to do.
Well, she's been throwing herself at him ever since he walked into the house. And she could have a glass eye and a wooden leg and he'd still make up to her just to meet Ivor Novello. You'd think she'd see that, wouldn't you? At her age.
I think he's terribly shallow, don't you? He's so vain.
Do you think we should tell her that he curls his hair with tongs?
And that he has to borrow Bunny Pinkerton's clothes any time he wants to go anywhere smart.
And that he borrowed £5 off Bunny's girlfriend and still hasn't paid it back. I'll have to borrow some more for those orchids.
Orchids?
Oh, I could tell her a few things about him.
I would have thought Aunt Phyllis would have seen through someone like him.
Perhaps something's stopping her this time.
Like what?
Like being in love?
In love?
My God! Well, that's it. That's just it.
What?
They're in the garden now, holding hands.
Holding?
Oh, they'll be kissing next.
Oh, Anne!
Well, I'm going to make sure those two never go anywhere else together. Ever.
What do you mean?
You'll find out. And so will they.
realise it's gone 6. But I think you ought to go and change. Besides, I'd like you to do something about the wine for dinner.
Yes, in a moment. Did you manage to get Mother and the flowers over to the church, all right?
Yes, she had to go and lie down for an hour after that. Arthur?
Uh-huh.
Arthur, on our way back, as we came up the drive, we saw Phyllis and Gerald in the garden. Now, you must do something about them, because your mother won't.
Well, I'm sure there's nothing to be done.
But, Arthur, they were holding hands. I don't think Alice saw. They were a little bit too far away. I just hope that Anne didn't see them.
Well, what does Mother say about it?
Well, I just don't understand her attitude at all. It's not like her. She seems to think that Phyllis has every right to come down here and take over Anne's young man without the slightest qualms. Anne's feelings just don't seem to matter.
Oh, perhaps it's maternal instinct.
Well, so her daughter's feelings matter and her granddaughter's don't.
Oh, no, darling, I don't think it's quite like that.
Well, it should be the other way around. Phyllis is old enough to look after herself, but Anne could get hurt.
Well, I think Mother feels that Anne is too young to get hurt. I just hope that Phil isn't too old not to.
You're down already?
Yes, I am a bit early.
May I offer you a glass of sherry?
I help myself, thanks.
Good. Have you had a good afternoon?
Very good.
Old Fuller, our rector's a funny old thing, isn't he?
Very funny.
How did you get on with my poor old aunt's car?
Fine. It's a grand old car. I should hardly describe Phyllis as a poor old aunt.
Well, she's not all that well off, and she is getting on for 40.
That's no age for a woman. She's very attractive, in my opinion, and great fun to be with.
Yes, I know. We all love her very much, and hope she'll marry one day. You know, meet someone nice and honest and genuine. A man of her own age will be happy to take her on.
Yes.
Someone solid, with a good, steady job, like a bank manager or something.
Absolutely.
That's a forbidden subject.
What is?
Bank managers. They remind me how overdrawn I am. Hello, Gerald, you're down early.
Well, I'm used to making quick changes. I say, there's a ludicrous picture in the Tatler of Wally Crisham at a fancy dress ball dressed up as a serpent. Do
No,
look.
do let me see. Oh, I can't bear it. Oh, dear.
Nearly ready, darling?
Should I or shouldn't I?
I haven't seen you wear that for a long time.
Grandpa gave it to me for my 14th birthday.
Oh, well then do. It's very pretty. Grandad will be thrilled. There. Anne must be done already.
Already? She's usually the last.
I haven't had a chance to talk to either of you since everyone arrived. Is Anne all right?
Of course she is. I wouldn't be surprised if she were keeping that sling on just for effect.
Oh, no, I shouldn't think so. I mean, it's such a nuisance for her. Stops her from doing all sorts of things. Yesterday, for instance, she must have been terribly disappointed not to be able to go for that walk with Aunt Phyllis and Gerald.
We had a good game of Ludo. Mummy?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Aunt Phyllis will ever get married?
Aunt Phyllis? I don't know, darling. I certainly hope so.
And then, Mari Tempest moved down to stage centre, looked directly at me, and said, "I want him." So I played the lead opposite her. Of course, I think I did give a better audition than the others, but when it came down to it, she chose me simply because she liked the look of my face and the cut of my clothes.
Oh, what a marvellous story, Gerald. People will turn it into a dinner party anecdote when you're famous.
I didn't know you'd been in a play with Mari Tempest.
Yes.
When was it, Gerald?
Oh, a couple of years ago.
Where?
I think it's time we all made a move in the direction of our nicely warm beds. It's getting late, and I want everyone bright-eyed for church in the morning.
Good Lord, look at the time. We've been talking for hours.
You've been talking for hours.
Off you go, girls.
Good night, Mummy.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, my dears.
Don't believe he's ever met Murray Tempest.
Only Aunt Phyllis does. I've got something to do. I'll see you in a minute.
Good night, Gerald.
I don't think
You will be coming to church with us in the morning, won't you?
Yes, of course, Mrs. Bourne. Good night. Good night, Phyllis.
Good night, Gerald.
Good night, sir.
Good night. Good night.
Good night.
Yes.
Good night, dear.
Good night.
There we are.
Lovely evening. Yes.
There we are.
Have you had a
Good night. Good night. Good night, Phyllis. No.
I hope you've enjoyed it.
Phil,
I'm so sorry. Yes, Arthur.
come and sit down for a moment.
But I'm just going to bed.
Yes, but I feel like another brandy. Never known you refuse a nightcap. Splendid. Haven't had a moment to talk to you since we arrived.
No, it's been a busy couple of days, hasn't it? You've been keeping out of the way a little.
Well, one or two estate matters, you know. Been holding far too long. And I've been glad of these last couple of days to get them settled. Then you've been rather preoccupied too, haven't you?
You mean with Gerald?
Yes, I do.
I noticed Helen was a little cool this afternoon. I didn't mean it to happen, Arthur. I really didn't.
No, we know you didn't mean it to happen. No, not the sort of person to steal another girl's chap. Huh? No, none of us would ever think you were. Although Helen does seem to feel you might have been a little thoughtless in relation to Anne.
Oh, God. Is she upset?
All right, it's a touch of battered pride, nothing more. Anyway, Anne has plenty of young men, and I think this young Hope Langley, he'd come pretty far down the list at the best of times. She'd probably forget about him half an hour after he leaves. No, I'm not worried about Anne at all, except it might have been kinder if you tried to include her a little more.
I did, Arthur. I did at first, but we were continually talking about the theatre, and Anne just isn't interested. I can see now I should have made an effort to change the subject once or twice.
Well, it might have been more fun for her over the last couple of days. No, Phil, what I'm trying to say to you is this. It's what I think I would have been trying to say to Anne if you hadn't been here, and well, she'd become besotted with Gerald herself.
What do you mean?
And I feel I don't want to interfere, but I don't want you to get hurt.
Hurt? Arthur, I'm not your baby sister. I'm 35.
And Hope Langley is 25. I feel it doesn't matter. I mean, you're charming and amusing. I'm sure there are hundreds of young chaps who would be just as dazzled by you as Gerald is, but please, Phil, don't be dazzled by him. He's charming and amusing too, but he's empty. Now, you must realise that.
Well, I've been making a fool of myself, haven't I?
No, not at all, darling. I just want to make sure that you never will. I mean, my goodness me. I mean, if I were a young actor, and I suddenly met a very attractive woman who knew all the most famous theatre people in London, you know, I think all my birthdays would come at once. See, Phil, in taking him to this party, you've offered him the quick and easy way to what he wants. And I'm sure that once there, he won't waste his time. I mean, he'll fly in there, attached to your coattails, and he'll do his damnedest to charm himself onto the West End stage. Is he any good? You see, it's my guess that he isn't. And when it's all over, and he's been discovered to be something of a sham, well, then they'll remember who brought him into the circle. And I'd hate them to have their own cruel reasons why. And Darling, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hurt you. It's
You
just...
haven't hurt me, Arthur. You've just amazed me. In exactly the same way that you've amazed me several times before. I always think you're not noticing something, and then when it comes to it, you've got it worked out just that bit clearer than anyone else. The only other man I've ever met who could do it was Father. He'd have told me the same thing, wouldn't he? Except he'd have said it a bit louder.
Well, I've done it.
What?
Fixed them.
Fixed?
I've got these.
The tickets, why?
Where are your matches?
Why do you want my matches?
I'm going to burn them.
Burn them?
Yes, burn them. You've heard of fire, haven't you? It was invented years ago.
Anne, stop. There's no point. Look, she could easily get some more if she wanted to. Burning them's just silly.
Well, what am I to do with them? Put them in a book with your wretched flowers?
Oh, I don't know, but burning them's not going to sort anything out. We've just got to make sure that they don't go, or better still, that they don't want to go together.
How?
I don't like Gerald, do you?
No. I wish I'd never invited him. Bunny said he could be a terrible bore.
Does he honestly have to borrow Bunny's clothes if he needs evening dress?
Yes. When I first invited him, he was very non-committal. It wasn't until Bunny decided to go fishing in Ireland that he accepted. Bunny wasn't likely to need a dinner jacket in a tiny pub on the Shannon, was he?
What date's that first night?
The 2nd.
Then we'll have to make sure that Bunny has somewhere absolutely spiffing to go to on the 2nd.
Victoria! The Germans have turned you into a genius. I can't imagine how they lost the war.
Well, I just feel that Aunt Phyllis needs saving from
Gerald?
Or from herself.
Whose side are you on?
Well, hers, I think.
You've changed a bit.
No, I haven't. I've just been thinking about it a little, that's all. Well, you don't want Gerald, do you?
Well, no.
And you've always liked Aunt Phyllis, haven't you?
Oh, yes.
Well then, if you don't want someone, and another person whom you like does, is there any reason why that other person shouldn't have him? Usually the answer's no. But this time we both know the answer's yes. Yes?
Yes.
Then the only reason why the answer's yes is because that other person isn't suitable.
I shall still be very angry if he takes her to that first night. I think I'll go to bed.
What are you going to do about the tickets?
I don't know.
Night. Night. I wonder if they're in one of these.
I wouldn't have said it if it hadn't needed saying.
It's just that when you shut something very obvious out of your mind, it makes your eyes water a little when you're finally made to see it. Oh, it's time I was in bed.
Phil, you know, you're the only woman in the world that I can talk to as a friend. You won't change, will you?
I'll try and make things up to Anne tomorrow.
No, I wouldn't worry about Anne. She's a tough little thing, really.
And I'm not, I suppose.
Oh, I think youth has its own shell, don't you? The problem is, over the years, the more knocks it gets, the weaker it becomes.
Good night, Arthur. I wouldn't change, even if I could.
Well, are we going to have another Easter egg hunt this year?
Of course. And it's Anne's turn to hide the egg.
Yes. Well, in that case, Anne can get to work on the clues and you can go and help Mrs. Gates peel the vegetables for lunch.
Oh, Mummy.
Well, Anne can't possibly peel vegetables not with her arm in a sling.
She won't be able to cut out clues either.
Well, if she needs any help, she can call for it. Now, come along, Vicky, do as you're told. Vicky?
I'll go and do the clues in the school.
That was a very enjoyable sermon,
Was
didn't
jolly
you?
good. I thought you were
There we are. Now then, who's for a glass of sherry? Gerald?
Oh, thank you, sir.
Charles?
yes, please, Arthur.
Leonard?
Sit down, young Hope Langley.
Mother?
Can I help?
I'm sure I can manage.
Well, if you write them out, I'll cut them out.
I said I could manage.
When can you get that thing off?
A couple of weeks.
I expect you'll be glad. I cracked my wrist when I was 12. My hand still shakes a little if I've been carrying anything heavy. You'll find your shoulder and arm rather weak for a while. When does Michael Sherwood get back? Next week? I was doing some arithmetic this morning. I was exactly 1 month younger than you are now when Robert was killed in France. It's funny, but it upsets me more now than it did then. Then I think I was just very sorry for myself. Well, we didn't know what things were like, not really. We thought war was all bravery and glory. It was much, much later we learned how horrible it was. I cried a lot. I cried because I had lost something. Now, when I think of him, I know my tears should have been for him, losing his life. I imagined him dying bravely, with a look of burning patriotism in his eyes. I saw myself as the bereaved maiden, the leading lady in the most heart-rending melodrama of all time. Now I know that I didn't matter at all. What mattered, what I should have been crying for, was the tragic futility of the war. The fact that he didn't live is what mattered, not that he didn't live to marry me. Everyone thinks I never married because of losing Robert. Do you know, I don't think that's the reason. I don't even know now whether I loved him or not. I think that basically I'm just not the marrying kind. All the years between then and now have gone so quickly that I haven't even noticed most of them. When you're 18, you think by the time you reach 30 or 40, you'll be different. Life will be different. That you'll view life with different eyes and from a different standpoint. You don't? That's the most amazing thing about growing older. It all happens on the outside. Oh, Anne, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to upset you.
I'm all right.
I didn't mean to upset you now, any more than I meant to upset you by monopolizing Gerald. I'm sorry.
He enjoyed talking to you.
Well, there were lots of time I kept him talking about the theatre when he'd have preferred to be with you. It was very selfish of me.
He didn't want to be with me, Aunt Phyllis. He wanted to talk to you. I didn't mind, honestly. I've got something to confess. Oh, I've done an awful thing.
You couldn't have done anything too awful.
I have. I took those theatre tickets from your room. I stole them.
I noticed they'd gone. Would you like to go to the first night with Gerald? I've just remembered there's something I have to do instead.
Oh, no. Well, Michael will be back by then.
Well, then poor Gerald will just have to find someone else to take. He's looking forward to it so much I can't deny him the tickets.
But he won't be able to go to the party afterwards, will he?
No, he won't be able to do that. Perhaps I'll go to that by myself.
Oh, yes, you must.
Grandpa, it's so funny. Do come out. Gerald's halfway up the cedar tree, and Granny's convinced it's in the potting shed.
No, I'm far too old to go scrabbling about in the bushes.
No, you're not. Look, I'll help you. I want you to find the egg this year. You never have.
That could be because I've never looked for it.
Well, come and look now. You can read any time. What is it, anyway?
Oh, it's something I've read before, years ago.
The Life of Gladstone. Oh, you can't miss the Easter egg hunt for that. Come on, I'm almost sure I know where it is.
All right. I see I shan't get any peace unless I come with you.
Not for a moment. Come on. Come on.
Yeah, all right. Sure.
Darling, I've been looking for you.
You're supposed to be looking for the egg. Of course, you don't stand a chance. Mother will find it.
Well, how do you know?
She always does.
Darling.
Gerald, something rather awful has happened.
Awful?
I've just looked in my diary, and I've found that one of my best pupils is giving a concert at the Wigmore Hall the very evening we were going to go to the theatre.
Going to go?
Well, I'm terribly sorry, Gerald, but I simply have to go to the girl's concert. She's quite brilliant, and her parents will expect me to be there. One really has to nurse them through, you know.
Yes, but sure.
There's no need for you to miss the play. You must have the tickets. I'm sure you'll easily find someone else to take.
Go without you?
Yes. I expect I'll get to see it sometime. I'm sorry to miss the first night, though. They're such fun.
Yeah, but what about the party? All those important people.
I know. I'm sorry to disappoint you, Gerald, but I forgive so many parties. Perhaps we'll go another time.
Yes. Yes, of course.
Oh, Mother, not again.
Yes, dear. It's getting rather embarrassing. I just can't help finding things.
Well, I wish you could find my book for me, Alice. I know I left it here somewhere.
Here it is.
Oh, yes, of course. Thank you, Vicky.
There, now that's all over, we can all have some tea.
Gerald was saying that he'd like to take Anne over to the Easter parade at Allingford.
Oh, would he?
Yes, I would. That is, if you'd like to go, Anne.
And they can take my car if they like.
That would be fun. Would you like to come, Vicky?
No, thanks. I'm going to find those flowers if I have to tear the house apart.
You'll have to show me the way, and I don't know the road at all.
Don't ruin my gearbox.
Come on.
Come along, Vicky, you can help me prepare the tea.
Arthur, have you ever read Morley's Life of Gladstone? It's most extraordinary. It's full of dead flowers, isn't it?
Oh, my dear.
Aren't you playing tennis with the others?
There's too many already.
I see.
Liz, Anne! Tea's ready when you want it, in the hall.
Coming! Last set. Nearly finished. It's match point.
I couldn't find the napkins, madam, because I'd put them away in a safe place and forgotten where. Oh, and I brought the rest of the sandwiches, in case they're hungry.
Oh, they will be. Thank you, Mrs. Gates. Oh, yes, I think that should be plenty now.
Well, you should have been there, Anne. I mean, this chap absolutely made my day. I mean, he looks so sort of stupid. Well, let's face it, he is stupid. No, he actually fancies himself as a tennis ace. How? Tennis ass, more likely, what? Oh, how do you do, Mrs. Bourne?
How do you do, Mr. Burton Smith?
I say, what a scrumptious-looking tea, what?
Anything I can do, Mummy?
Oh, no, I don't think so. Thank you, darling.
Do come in.
Well, come on, then. Let's help ourselves, what?
Help yourself.
Okay, give myself a...
Giles.
I'll have a sandwich.
Rosemary, how nice to see you. Please do help yourselves. There's tea or lemonade, whichever you prefer.
Vicky, meet Rex Burton Smith, my younger sister, Vicky.
Well, am I glad to meet you, Vicky.
And you know Rosemary and Charles, don't you? Of course she does. How are you, Vicky?
Hello, Vicky.
How do you like Germany?
Oh, very much, thanks. But I'm glad to be home.
I know what you mean. I was sent to Paris to be finished off, and I couldn't wait to get home. Chance to speak English again. How long are you home for?
Well, not long. I go back in a couple of weeks.
I say, anyone play the old Joanna around here, what? I say, Anne, what was the name of that song from the film we saw the other day? You know, the one with Fred Astaire in the old bandstand. How did it go now? Isn't it a lovely day to be caught in the rain? Isn't it a lovely day to be caught in the rain?
Stop, that's terrible. I've got the sheet music somewhere.
Well, come on, let's find it.
I bought in Horbury the other day, especially to learn the words. Oh, I know, it's in the music stand.
Well, come on then, let's get it out. There it is.
There we are.
Marvellous. Right.
Let me try this time.
From the top.
And,
The lovely day to be caught in there. That's not right, damn it.
It's too difficult for me. I know. Vicky's the expert. Come and play this for us.
Come on, Vicky, come over here.
It's jazz. I can't syncopate. Don't be silly. Come and try. Go on, Vicky. Anything to stop him.
Come on, Vicky, you show him.
Yes, do, please. Then we can all dance.
Come on, Vicky, let's sit down and go from the top then. Right there.
That's sort of it, Vicky.
Yes, but you can't dance to that, Vicky, can you? I mean, can't you sort of jazz it up a bit? You know, like Claire Gibbons. Look, I'll show you. That's it, Vicky. Come on, everybody, dance. That's it, sugar. Keep playing. It's marvellous. Whoops, it is, isn't it? What are they doing?
It's necessary, Rex.
Oh, nearly had lemonade all over us, didn't we? What? Just practicing my act for the old home and empire. And now don't go, Mrs. Bourne. We're all having such a jolly good time, aren't we? Well, come on, Vicky. Keep playing. Come on. I think it's our dance, Mrs. Bourne.
Oh, I'm afraid my dancing days are over, Mr. Burton Smith, if you'll excuse me.
Well, come along, everyone, if we're going to get in another set. Yes, it's Giles and I versus you and Rosemary. Isn't that right? Yes, we'll thrash them.
Jolly good, then.
Oh, Rex, you don't mind sitting this one out, do you?
No, not at all, old thing.
Sure you wouldn't like to play in my place? Oh, no, it's all right, honestly.
My feet are killing me, anyway.
Would you like another glass of lemonade?
Still got some, thanks.
Oh. Don't you want to watch the tennis?
No, not particularly. Don't you play?
Not really. I'm not very good at games. Well, the only thing I'm remotely good at is music.
Well, so I gather. Go on, play some more.
All right. What?
Oh, anything. I'm not fussy.
Nice.
Thank you. I wouldn't have thought you'd care for Chopin.
Why not?
Well, you're not really a quiet sort of person, are you?
Quiet?
Well, when I was reading my book in the tree this afternoon, I could hear your voice right across the garden, all the way from the tennis court. But now you're talking quite quietly, aren't you? I like you better when you talk quietly.
Oh, isn't it a lovely day to be caught in the rain? Fancy coming and seeing how the old tenants are getting on, what? All right, then. If you'll excusez-moi. Isn't it a lovely day to be caught in the rain?
I say, do you think Anne likes Rex Burton Smith?
I suppose she must if she asked him over for tennis. Why?
Just wondered. Do you think she'll go on liking him?
I sincerely hope not.
Why? What's wrong with him?
He's the worst type of rich, spoilt, conceited young man.
I agree, he is a bit noisy.
A bit noisy? You need earmuffs when he's around.
Well, I'm sure he's not as bad as all that. Not all the time.
Don't you?
No, I think there's a different, quiet side to him.
Vicky, I know that type of young man. He's got to conquer every girl he meets. Oxford was full of them.
I'm sure he's not like that. I have a feeling about him.
I should forget him if I were you. Go to bed.
I shan't sleep. It's far too hot.
Well, read then.
Okay. I can take a hint. I still think you're wrong about Rex.
Oh, perhaps I am. Night-night, sleep tight.
Oh.
Here, catch! One disgustingly wet towel and one scarlet bathing cap for a scarlet woman. All right, cheerio, pip, pip. Heave ho, me old hearties. Bye.
Cold in the rain. You're trying to get far too many in that house. The more the merrier. I heard you and that ghastly, loud-mouthed Romeo of yours getting home last night. Oh, did you? Yes. And I should think the whole neighbourhood must have heard you too. Yes, he is a bit hearty, isn't he? Hearty? He's like a man permanently talking through a megaphone. Did you have a good time? Rather. We had dinner in a hotel in Gloucester and then drove back to Horbury. Much too fast. Gosh, that Rolls of his just roars along. We did 65 all the way. Couldn't think of what to do in Horbury, though. It's so dead, even on a Saturday night. Well, there was a sort of hop going on at the White Hart, the Hereford Young Farmers Association. You had to have tickets. Anyway, Rex talked his way in. So we joined the fray. We danced for a bit, and then Rex got bored and said the party needed jazzing up a bit. So he got onto the platform where the band was and took over the drums. I'll answer it. Winchley 8? Yes, it is. No, I'm afraid he's away. He's gone down to Chatham for a few days for a funeral. No, it's his daughter here. Well, one of them. Would you like to speak to my mother? Yes. Oh, could you hold on, please? Mummy, where are you?
In my room.
Oh, it's the telephone for you. Mr. Mason.
All right, darling, I'll take it up here.
She's just coming. Who's Mr. Mason when he's at home? Something to do with the White Hart Hotel in Horbury. How do you know? Because that's where he's speaking from. Do you think he could be the manager? It might be. Oh, God. Last night. I must know what he's telling her. Anne, what do you think you're doing? I want to know what he's telling Mummy. Just put that down. You can't eavesdrop on other people's conversations. I must. Anne. I can't see the harm. Anne. If he's peeved about Rex playing the drums at that party last night, why can't he ring up Mr. Burton Smith? He may not have known who Rex is. After all, the Burton Smiths haven't been here that long. 3 years. Listen, she's put the receiver down. May have wanted Daddy on council business. Do you think so? Well, he's on the borough council. Brown told me.
Anne, are you there?
Oh, here it comes. I'm in the hall, Mummy. Oh, don't go, Liz. Please stay with me.
Anne? I want a word with you.
Yes, Mummy?
That was Mr. Mason from the White Hart in Horbury complaining about your behaviour in his hotel last night. You and the young man you were with. Was it the man who was here to play tennis?
Rex Burton Smith. Yes, what did the man say?
Never mind what he said. What I have to say is that you are a stupid, thoughtless and irresponsible girl. How dare you go crashing uninvited into a private farmer's dance without tickets or anything, and then to take over the band and make a complete nuisance of yourselves? You upset everyone there. How dare you, Anne? In Horbury, of all places where you're known.
Well, you only tried to brighten up the party a bit. Nobody seemed to mind. At least, not everyone.
Yes,
Some
well,
did.
you sit down now at my desk and you take a piece of my notepaper and an envelope and you write a letter to Mr. Mason to say how sorry you are, and to the secretary of the Young Farmers Club. Here, I've scribbled his name down. Mr. Breen, Mr. Jim Breen, Hackett's Farm, Layfer. There you are, take that with you. And as for that young man, Rex, whatever his name is, you will not invite him to this house again. Do you understand? And I would prefer it if you never saw him again.
Oh, Mummy, Rex is all right. It's just that he's noisy and rather spoiled.
Yes, well, everyone can see that. His parents obviously give him far too much money. Those sort of people always do. Well, if he doesn't know how to behave himself, which he plainly doesn't, there can be some excuse for him. He hasn't had your upbringing. But there is no excuse for you, none whatsoever. How could you do such a thing?
Are you going to tell Daddy?
I don't know yet. Perhaps I shall spare him the disappointment he'll feel in you when he hears. But I warn you, if that young man comes into this house again at your invitation or anyone else's, I shall be forced to tell him.
Hey,
You'll give me no choice.
That's blackmail.
You keep out of this. This has nothing to do with you. Did you understand, Anne?
Yes, all right, Mummy. I'm sorry. I won't invite him here again. Don't go on. I've said I'm sorry.
All right, now write your 2 letters of apology and we'll try and forget the whole ghastly business.
Yes, all right.
If Mr. Mason chooses to tell your father when he comes back from Chatham, there's nothing I can do about that. You'll just have to get down on your bended knee and pray that he doesn't mention it. And if you've got nothing better to do, you can come and help me shove some peas in the kitchen while Anne gets on with her letters.
Yes, of course, Mummy.
Yes, she's gone riding. There's a letter for you.
For me? Local postmark.
You'll never believe it, Liz. It's from Rex.
Rex? Burton Smith? You? What about?
I'll read it to you. Dear Vicky, I hear from Anne that I'm persona non grata at Larkfield Manor. I'd love to see you again. Pity I can't hear you play the piano anymore, but as I'm not allowed to darken your doorstep, that's in capitals, anymore, perhaps we could meet somewhere else. Would you like to go to a cinema with me and have tea in Horbury? We could meet at the Copper Kettle. Suggest Tuesday afternoon. How would that suit? Rex.
Tuesday, that's today! You can't possibly go.
Howdy, Miss Pringle.
Good afternoon, Mr. Burton.
Got any decent cakes today?
Just what's on the counter.
Yes, fly blown and stale as usual, huh?
They're fresh today, Mr. Burton Smith.
Ah, there's our Vicky, tucked away in the corner. Miss Pringle, bring us gallons of tea and something edible, will you?
2 teas.
You shouldn't have said that. You've offended her terribly.
Oh, silly old bag. Was only pulling a leg. She knows that.
I'm not sure she does.
Oh, let's not worry about her. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Been practicing any good tunes lately?
Of course, I have to practice every day.
Do you?
Music is going to be my career.
Oh.
I hope this table's all right. Only I didn't think we wanted to be overheard, and there are quite a lot of people here.
Well, you were quite right.
Well, what should we talk about?
The weather?
It was so nice to get you a letter. I'm sorry about my mother. It's all to do with you and Anne gate-crashing that farmer's dance the other night.
Yes, well, I'm quite used to being banned from people's homes.
Are you?
Oh, yes, it's a daily occurrence.
Do you always do awful things?
Yes, always. Aha! Here comes the tea. Well done, Miss Pringle. Marvellous. Thank you.
Have you got a cold?
Yes? Oh, no, it's just something I take to pep me up a bit when I'm feeling low.
I shouldn't think you need pepping up.
You'll do sometimes. Will you be mother?
What? Oh, yes.
Have a squash fly cake.
Beg your pardon?
One of those.
They're not flies, they're currants. What's the matter? You look sad.
Sad? Oh, no, just disgusted by these cakes. I'm not sad. So, what else do you do apart from playing the piano, then?
Oh, lots of things. I love walking. Riding, though I'm not much good at that. Or reading. Do you read?
Well, I used to.
Why not now?
Well, I never seem to get the time. Besides, I'm too lazy. I like being entertained, listening to people like you playing the piano.
What's your favourite piece?
Claire or something. Yes, I like that.
De Lune.
That's it, Claire de Lune.
Claire de
Yes.
Lune, Debussy.
Yes.
Oh, I like that too. It always makes me think of the sunrise.
The sunrise? But doesn't it mean the light of the moon or something?
I know it's back to front. But you see, I often get up early and watch the sun rising. Do you know Gilwyn Gorge, the other side of Layford?
Yes, I've heard of it.
It's a great deep ravine with hills and trees the other side, and a river with a waterfall.
Oh, sounds like a good spot for a picnic. Or a murder.
It is. And it's the perfect place to watch the sun coming up. But to be there on time, you have to get up in the dark, preferably on the night of a full moon, so that you can see to get there.
I don't think I'd ever get out of my bed at that hour just to see the sunrise.
Oh, I do, quite often in the summer. I make a thermos of coffee and take sandwiches. Liz and Anne think I'm a bit crazy.
No, you're not crazy. Hey, I tell you what. Why didn't I take you there tonight, in the old Rolls?
Rex, you mean early tomorrow morning? Do you really mean it?
Well, of course I do.
All the way to Gilwyn Gorge?
Well, why ever not?
But you're not allowed to come to our house anymore.
Well, what if I come to the front gate?
You'd be seen from the lodge.
Ah, not if I was very quiet. Look, I'll stop a little way down the road and then flash my headlights 3 times very quickly. Would you see that from where you are?
Yes, because my room looks over the garden. I can see right down the drive into the road. What time will you come?
You say.
Well, if you flash your headlights at exactly 3 o'clock in the morning, I'll set my alarm so that I can get dressed and out of the house.
That's settled then. Tomorrow morning.
Gosh, Rex, how exciting.
That was a very good cup of coffee.
It wasn't bad, was it? Considering I made it last night, I thought it would be cold.
Well, it was just right. I say the moon's gone. So still, isn't it?
You wait. In a minute we'll be deafened with birdsong.
It's weird. I don't ever remember being up at this hour before. Not unless, of course, I was too pickled to notice.
You often pickled?
No, not terribly often. About once a week.
Rex.
I was only joking. I say those sandwiches are rather good. Any more?
Sorry, you ate the last one just now.
Funny how food tastes so much better out in the open. Oh, that air smells good. Really fresh.
There. The first bird. Listen. In a moment they'll all wake up and start singing.
That's wonderful.
You glad you came?
Yes. Hey, it's getting light.
The sun's coming up. Look how pink the sky's gone. Do you see that mountain over there?
Yes.
In a moment it'll all be lit up. Look, there. Now.
Gosh, it looks as though it's on fire.
Isn't it beautiful?
It's eerie. Like the dawning of the world. Listen to those damn birds. Sounds like a cocktail party.
They're happy.
Like me.
Sleepy?
Yes, a bit. But it was worth it. I feel very peaceful and sort of content.
So do I. Rex?
Yes.
Would it worry you if I fell in love with you?
Don't, Vicky.
Why not?
You're sweet. And I love your music. In fact, you're quite a special person.
Am I?
Yes. And I want to take very great care of you. Shouldn't we be getting back? You've got that long walk down that drive of yours past the lodge, haven't you? They get up early.
Yes, they do. The gate is up at 6:30 every morning, except Sundays.
Well, in that case, I better get you back post-haste, as they say, what?
I suppose so.
All right, then.
Will I see you again?
I'll telephone you. Tomorrow night.
All right.
Vicky! Oh, she gave me such a fright.
Sorry.
What on earth are you doing sitting in the dark?
I'm waiting for a telephone call.
At this hour? Everyone's gone to bed, at least Mummy has. May one ask who is ringing you up at this hour?
Well, I suppose I don't mind you knowing. It's Rex.
Dear Vicky, Rex is out with Anne tonight. He's taken her to a party.
I didn't know.
You're not upset, are you?
Of course not.
Oh, I did tell you what he was like.
Yes, I know you did.
Ah, there's my blessed book. Spencer on tracheotomy. Lizzie, you sure? About Anne? Yes, of course I'm sure. Rex rang her this morning and they fixed a secret meeting place. I wanted to pick her up in his rolls, but it had to be far enough away from the house so that Mummy wouldn't hear. But not too far for Anne to traipse miles in a long dress. You're not really upset, are you?
Of course not. It's just really rather annoying, that's all. I'm going to bed.
Good night, Vicky. Anne? You're back early, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Whatever's the matter?
We had a flaming row, that's what's the matter.
You and...
Me and Rex, who else?
What about?
I've no idea. Absolutely nothing, stupid idiot. I don't care if I never see him again as long as I live.
What on earth happened?
I made him drive me home. But all because of Mummy and her stupid ban on Rex, I had to be dropped outside in the road and trudge all the way up that rotten drive in my best shoes. I probably ruined them. I've got a blister too. Oh, God, what a stupid, wasted evening.
You must have some idea what the row was about.
Oh, I don't know exactly what happened, except nothing seemed right from the start. Rex seemed a bit on edge, rather strange somehow. Perhaps you're right about him, all of you. He is peculiar. He kept asking me questions about Vicky. I told him it was the height of bad manners to be with one person and talk about someone else. He told me not to be silly. Well, it was him who was being silly. All moody. I tried to make him laugh and snap out of it, but he was in a sulk about something. Oh, if there's one thing I can't stand, it's a moody man. In the end, he said, would I stop talking as I was being too noisy and attracting attention? Me, noisy, coming from him. Well, that's when I suddenly decided I'd had enough. I told him I would have had more fun if I'd stayed at home and played Ludo with my two sisters. So he said if that's how I felt, I'd better go home at once. So I said, right, I would. So he was forced to leave the beastly party and drive me home. Serves him right for acting so stupidly. There. What's the betting that's him ringing up to apologise? I thought he would.
It can't be him. He's only just left you in the road.
He'll be in the nearest telephone box.
Anne, you'll have to answer it.
No fear, I'm going to play hard to get. It's time someone taught him a lesson.
Well, someone's got to answer that before he wakes up Mummy.
Well, you answer it, but I'm not speaking to him.
Hello? Rex, yes?
Told you.
I thought you didn't want to speak to him.
Oh, I might as well, seeing as he's taken the trouble.
It's all right, Rex. We're both still up. Oh, well. Hold on a minute. He wants Vicky.
What the hell for?
She'll hear you.
Well, let him.
Hang on a second, Rex. I'll go and get her for you. Nip up and fetch Vicky.
I'll do nothing of the sort.
Oh, Anne, you do make me so cross. Hang on a second, Rex. Vicky!
I expect he wants to take her to tea at the Copper Kettle again. Cream buns and polite conversation.
If that's all he wants, then we can stop worrying, can't we?
Worrying, I'm not.
Vicky! What is it? It's the telephone for you. It's Rex Burton Smith. Hurry. Gosh, coming.
He's trying to make me jealous.
He seems to be succeeding.
He is not succeeding.
Anne!
Please, don't mind me.
I thought you and Rex...
We were.
Hurry up. Hello? Yes, it's me. What is it?
Wants to take you to see Donald Duck and hold hands in the 1 and 9s.
Look, do you mind? I can't hear.
No, I don't mind. Why should I? I know exactly what he's trying to do.
Anne, shut up.
Yes, I'm still here. Hang on a minute, will you?
Come on, Anne.
He's all yours.
I'll leave you.
Thanks. I'm sorry, Rex. I'm a bit of a rumpus. Liz and Anne. No, they've gone off to bed. What? No, I'm not doing anything. The sea? Oh, what a marvellous idea. Yes, I'd love to. All right, then. I'll be ready at 2:30. Promise. Oh, yes, perhaps we'd better. Good night, darling. Come in.
Everything all right?
Oh, it's you, Liz. Yes, come in.
I can see from your face there's no need to ask how that went.
Yes, I'm going to see him tomorrow.
As soon as that?
Yes. What's the matter with Anne just now? Why did she come back early?
Didn't Rex tell you?
No.
Apparently they had a terrible row.
What about?
You, I think.
Me?
Well, partly, I think. I couldn't really work it out.
Anne was in a frightful rage.
Oh, I know. But you know what she is. She'll be over it by tomorrow. Come on, tell me your plans.
Rex suggested a day at the sea. Aberglenwyn.
Oh, it's lovely there. Wonderful bathing.
I know. I said I'd bring a picnic basket of food. He suggested leaving early, but I said we couldn't go until Mummy went to her WI at 2:15.
I'll think of an ingenious alibi for you.
Will you really?
I'll have to, won't I?
Liz, you don't think Anne's in love with Rex, do you?
Anne? She's not in love with anybody. Not Anne.
Are you sure you don't mind?
Well, I thought it was quite obvious from last night that Rex and I had finished with each other. So good luck to Vicky, I say. So long as she doesn't get hurt. She's not like me. I'm tough. By the way, what's the alibi?
She's going for a picnic to the sea, supposedly with Giles and Rosemary Hamilton.
Hence enough for 3.
Exactly.
Didn't Mummy want to know why we weren't all going?
Yes, she did. But I was able to tell her with perfect truth that I had a dentist appointment in Hereford and you were going to a gymkhana. You are, aren't you?
Yes, at Walling Green. Where's the pickup?
Usual place.
In the road outside the lodge.
Yes.
And the signal?
He's going to toot his horn a few times. Just hope that Mr. and Mrs. Cates don't hear and come out to investigate.
Well, what time?
2:30 exactly. Mummy leaves for a WI at 2:15.
Well, let's hope she's not late and he's not early. Then the balloon would go up. She look out, Ma. Where did you put the salad cream? Oh, better put it in the basket, they'll need it.
How are we getting on? Chicken, salad, that looks nice. Are you sure you've done enough sandwiches?
Oh, I think so.
Well, for 3?
All right, Mummy, I'll do some more. Anne, where's the butter?
Oh, here.
Here's some wine for them.
They'll be sloshed if they drink all that. Rosemary will.
Well, it's very light.
That's lovely, Mummy, thank you.
Yes, well, now I must go and change my dress. Now, don't forget, girls, lunch is at 1:45.
Oh, goodbye, Vicky. Wish I could be here to see you off, but I'll be late for the torture chamber.
Goodbye. I hope you don't have too many holes to drill.
I've got to rush too. Good luck.
Oh, goodbye. Thanks very much.
Have a nice time.
Yes.
And don't drink all that wine. See you when we get back.
Bye.
You got a new drill. It took hours to make one small hole. Zounds, if I had the drill now, my teeth would all fall out. Vicky, you're not back.
He hasn't come.
Oh, no. But it's gone 5.
Hasn't he rung up?
No.
And you've been waiting here all this time.
That pig! Just wait till I see him.
There must be some reason.
Yes, of course there is.
I bet I know what's happened. He's probably forgotten. Or found someone else. Just wait till I see him. I'll murder him.
He's just late, that's all. His car may have broken down.
Vicky, hadn't you better be realistic about it? Anne is right. It's terribly late. He won't come now.
He will, he promised.
Well, if he doesn't come in the next 5 minutes, I'm going to ring him.
If he's not here in the next 5 minutes, he's going to run into Mummy. She'll be back at any minute. And you'd better ring him just in case.
Okay.
Oh, no, please don't.
What are we to do?
He'll come, I know he will.
Even if he did come now, Vicky, it's much too late to go to Aberglenwyn. It's miles.
We could go somewhere else, just for a little while. I know he'll come if he can. Because I'm the only person who understands him. He's not like you say he is. He's gentle and kind.
Vicky.
And I love him.
Listen, there's a car.
There, I told you.
Oh, it can't be him, Vicky. He said he'd wait in the road.
It's Mummy. What are we going to do? Vicky, you go upstairs to your bedroom. Go on, Vicky, you must. Hide that picnic basket quickly. Vicky, please.
Oh, you're back.
The car broke down. Giles and Rosemary's car, they ran out. Said they'd be here as soon as possible.
Oh, but you can't possibly go to the seaside now. The day's nearly over.
They're going somewhere else. Aren't you, Vicky? Giles suggested Gilwyn Gorge. What a good idea. It's a lovely place for a sunset picnic, Gilwyn Gorge.
Are you very disappointed, Vicky?
How was your WI, Mummy? Was it awfully boring?
No, it was all right. Mrs. Willis talked too much, as usual.
Did you make a lot of money?
No, it was a committee meeting, darling, not a sale. You're very quiet, Vicky.
She's disappointed. Vicky, why don't you and I walk down to the drive as far as the gate and see if we can hear the car coming?
I knew he'd come, I knew it.
Giles, yes. And get the basket. Come on, Vicky. We mustn't keep Giles and Rosemary waiting.
No, I mustn't.
Oh, wait, darling, they may feel it's a little bit too late to go to a
No, I must go, I must.
Is Commander Bourne in?
What is it, please?
Is he in?
No, I'm afraid he's away.
Mrs. Bourne?
Yes, she's here. Mummy, there's someone here for you. Would you please come in? This way.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'm Norman Burton Smith. It's about my son, Rex.
Oh, yes?
I thought I'd like to come over and tell you myself. I believe he was expected here this afternoon to take your daughter, Vicky, to a picnic at the seaside.
Vicky? Oh, but I thought you...
I'm sorry, I have some bad news for you. You see, Rex had one of his attacks during the night. He hadn't been well for some time, you know.
What's wrong with him?
I'm afraid he died in the early hours of this morning.
Oh, God. Dreadfully sorry.
I know he was fond of you all, and so I thought I'd...
Please do have a brandy, Mr. Burton Smith. She'll be all right. Anne and Liz are looking after her. She's come round already.
Thank you. I had no idea it would be such a shock for her.
No, nor had I. It's very good of you to come yourself at a time like this. I really don't know what to say, except to offer you and your wife our dearest sympathy.
Well, we've lived with it for 4 years now, ever since the doctors first told us about Rex's heart condition. It was something they couldn't cure, you see. They were quite frank with us about it. Must give them credit.
Did your son know how ill he was?
Oh, yes. Yes, he knew all right since he was 18. Because he knew he hadn't long, he used to behave rather stupidly at times. Get up to all sorts of silly pranks, show off a bit. I think he may have upset one or two people. I suppose it could be said that we spoiled him, letting him have that nice car and a bit too much money, perhaps. In fact, anything we could give him. But what else can one do when it's an only child?
Yes, of course, I quite understand.
My wife and I do appreciate your kindness to him, inviting him over here and so on. The funeral is on Monday, 4 o'clock, at St. Michael's in Holbury.
Oh, well, of course we shall all come.
Well, I must get back. I do hope your daughter won't take it too hard.
I still can't seem to believe it.
I know.
Only seeing him yesterday.
Yesterday?
We went to Gilwyn Gorge to watch the sun come up.
Did you?
He said he'd never seen the sun come up before. Now he'll never see it come up again. He was so full of life. How can he be dead? I feel so awful lying to you about him.
If I'd been a little more understanding about Rex, it wouldn't have been necessary. It was my fault. And who was to know that behind all that... Well, then he was a brave, rather special young man.
I don't think I can go on living without him.
Oh, you mustn't think like that, my darling. Don't you think you owe it to Rex? It's terribly hard to go on remembering him. But you mustn't give up. We all have to die, sooner or later. You know what they say? Whom the gods love. Vicky, listen to me. Rex was brave. He faced death. You must face life. If you can think of it this way, it can make a link between you and him forever. That way you'll never lose him. He'll always be part of you.
Do you think he will know?
I'm quite sure he'll know. There. Think you can sleep now?
I think so.
Rather jumping the gun, my dear. One photograph in the Tatler.
Well, Phyllis said in her letter that they'd spent almost every evening together last week.
Well, I suppose he does look quite presentable. Well, of course
course he does. He is a baronet.
But he's an Harrovian too, dear. What does Arthur think about that?
To be quite honest, we haven't discussed it. Would you like some more tea?
Yes, please, dear.
No, Arthur's far too busy picking his cricket team for the match against Horbury.
Oh, heavens, we've got to endure that, have we?
Yes, next Saturday.
The annual slaughter, followed by the wake.
Well, no. This year Arthur means to do better, at least to avoid embarrassment. He's been telephoning all his old Navy friends, hoping to dig up a surprise weapon.
He needs his father. That's who he needs. Now, there was a cricketer. Did you know that Billy once almost bowled out W.G. Race?
Almost, Granny. How can you almost bowl someone?
He beat the bat, my dear. It missed the off stump by a whisker, so Billy always said. The doctor was so amazed he called for a new bat. Did you put sugar in there?
Now, what happened after that?
I don't know. The story ended at that point. Mercifully, I presume.
I don't know what beating the off stump by a whisker means. Really, it's the most ridiculous game. Silly mid-on, mid-off, long leg.
You mustn't let your father hear you talking like that.
Well, what do you think of your future brother-in-law?
Is he?
That's what your mother thinks.
I do not, Alice. You are wicked.
Yes, well, I suppose he might be presentable to Anne.
But not to your taste.
Just as well, isn't it, Granny? When is she arriving?
Any moment now. Phyllis is bringing her in her car. And then we should hear the full story.
I've got a problem. I need a fast bowler.
Oh, really, Daddy? Do you mean some racy headgear?
No, Liz, it is no joke. There's a great deal of personal prestige at stake. I do know for the past 2 years the match has finished at 3 o'clock.
3:15 last
And
year.
it rained before lunch.
Well, all right, there's no need to rub it in.
You thought you were rather good last year.
Oh, we were. Well, we were on paper. Whole team boasted of past achievements. Couldn't summon them up, that was the trouble. No, they were slow in the field, they were short-sighted, they were gone in the wind.
And how many have you got this year?
Well, we got 10 so far. Well, including old Admiral Graves, but I don't seriously count him. No, we got 4 from the village. They won't let me down. There's 2 Eton Ramblers, unknown quantities. Graves. Yeah, always myself. No, Liz, what we really need is some young chap, genuine pace. Ruffle their feathers a bit. You see, they're complacent enough as it is, having their best season for years. Beat Gloucester Police last week by an innings. I mean, I don't mind telling you, it's a great worry.
He talks about it in his sleep.
Well, cheer up, Daddy. Perhaps it'll rain all day this year.
Anyway, it's the dance afterwards that they remember, not the humiliations on the cricket pitch.
Oh, really?
Well, last year it was a tremendous success. And this year we're having the whole house floodlit from the lawn and a wonderful new dance band, aren't they, darling?
Bert Becker and the Birdmen.
That nice young Dr. Harrington, doesn't he play cricket?
Yes, Mother, he does, rather well. He's playing for the opposition. No, he keeps wicket for, he used to, for Wolverhampton. That reminds me, Helen. I must get him round to look at my shoulder. Liz, does your medical knowledge cover twinges?
Let me have a look, Daddy.
Did you?
Whereabouts?
Well, it's just there. Yeah, you're right. Yes, it's just there.
Are you sure they're not imaginary?
No, Helen, they're not.
I think we should call in Dr. Harrington. After all, we can't have you missing the off stump by a whisker.
Hello, everybody.
Dear. Darling, we didn't hear the car.
I know you didn't. It hasn't got here yet. We conked out half a mile outside Winchley. Hello, Granny.
Hello, darling.
Hello, Daddy. Hello, Liz.
Oh, we almost made
Having wheezed and spluttered our way from Albury.
Hello, Mother, darling.
Have you abandoned it?
Well, fortunately, we met Gates out on his bike. He's got his head under the bonnet now.
Oh, he seems quite hopeful. It's something to do with the carburettor.
Oh, you've seen it. Awful of me, don't you think?
Not your best.
May I be revived with a cup of tea?
Oh, of course, Phyllis, dear. How about you, Anne?
No, I must go and change. After that walk, it's baking out. See you all in a minute.
Oh. Oh.
Well, she seems all right.
She never stopped talking the whole way up. I think it's what finally undid the car.
Have you met the young man in question?
I have a couple of times. He's promising.
Sir Nigel Marsham. You know, that rings a bell.
Darling, I've been trying to tell you about him all week.
No, dear. I mean, that young man is a cricketer.
Oh, Daddy, really? I'm going upstairs to help out.
Liz, look, he's a proper one. I mean, first class. Do you know, he played an innings at Lord's recently for the MCC, I think it was. I remember reading about it. Yeah, there you are. Captain of Harrow for the past 2 years. Oh. He's played a couple of times for Sussex as well.
He won't want to play in your sort of cricket, Arthur.
Well, why not, Mother? If he's keen on Anne.
Oh.
Isn't he divine? And look what he gave me last night.
Oh, well, never. So it's to be Lady Marsham then, eh?
Oh, Liz, shut the door. Can you keep a secret, both of you? Well, come on, what is it? We're sort of unofficially engaged. What do you mean? What I say.
Well, has he actually proposed to you, dear? That's what Liz means.
Well, he hasn't gone down on his knees and that kind of thing. But I've met his mother and she likes me. And I've been invited to go down and stay with the whole family for Goodwood in 3 weeks' time. So you see?
Oh, yes, dear.
Oh, congratulations.
Now, look. He's just the chap we need. It's an absolute stroke of luck.
Now, do be careful. We do not want to put pressure on the poor girl.
Well, what pressure? Now, all he's got to do is to come down here, lead us to victory, and she spends the rest of the afternoon, what do you call it, basking in his reflected glory.
Yes, now, that's all very well, but...
sorry.
No, darling, do please come in. I want to talk to you. Now, this young chap of yours, Sir Nigel Marsham...
Yes?
Well, naturally, we don't believe all we read in the papers, but, well, you're quite keen on him, aren't you?
Do come to the point, Arthur.
Well, I am coming to the point. Now, we'd like to meet him, wouldn't we? Yes, there you are, you see. Now, he sounds a decent sort of chap, so why not invite him down here for the weekend?
Oh, well, I'd love to, but...
Yeah, next weekend.
Well, that's rather sudden. I don't know what his plans are next weekend.
Oh. Well, couldn't you find out?
What your father means to say is that he wants to invite Nigel to play in his cricket match next Saturday.
Commander Bournes 11 versus Horbury Town CC. Oh, Daddy, you are sweet. He's much too good for that.
Well, is he but sure?
Oh, he's played at Lord's. He scored 76 only last month for the MCC against Scotland on a sticky wicket. Well, none of the others did anything.
Oh, she's very knowledgeable all of a sudden.
I was there, surrounded by the experts.
Well, not in the pavilion.
Of course not in the pavilion, Daddy. Ladies aren't allowed in there.
Oh, no, of course not, but you never know.
Watched from a grandstand box under Old Father Time. We ate strawberries and drank champagne all afternoon. It was bliss.
Was it, darling?
He's not going to come and play in your little game.
Oh, darling, now come on, we're not bad. It is for charity, huh? You draw quite a crowd.
Well, perhaps it would be rather like asking Michelangelo to come and paint the ceiling of the local church.
Well, I think that's going just a bit too far. He doesn't play for England.
Who? Michelangelo?
No, Marsham. Now, come along. Look here, you two. Now, if he does have, well, honourable intentions, I mean, we would like to meet him, wouldn't we? I mean, you can simply incorporate the game into the weekend.
Well, there is the dance, darling, afterwards.
Well, yes, that would be nice. Oh, but I wouldn't dare to ask him. It would show my ignorance.
Well, what?
Of cricket, Daddy, his position in the game.
Oh, I tell you what. I could write to him. I mean, it doesn't matter if I show my ignorance, does it?
No, absolutely. And we could use it as a sort of, test. I mean, of his true feelings for you. Wouldn't you say so?
No, I wouldn't. But in any case, it can't affect your feelings for him, can it, darling?
He won't come.
Yes. I've just had a letter from Vicky. She's coming back from Munich on Saturday, arriving after lunch. Would you be kind enough to see that her room's ready for her?
Of course I would, Mrs. Bourne. Oh, the whole family together for the weekend. Oh, that'll be nice.
Yes, I just hope it won't be soured by events on the cricket pitch.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, Mrs. Bourne, Are there any more cricketers coming to stay? You know, we're running a bit short of rooms.
Yes, well, there may be just one.
The young baronet, would that be?
I'm not sure, Nanny. I haven't had a reply to my letter yet. It was rather short notice.
Anne seems a bit disgruntled at the idea.
Yes, well, I haven't got time to worry about that. Oh, well, of course, if he does stay, Nanny, we'd better put him in the spare room, and I think we'll put Admiral Graves into Elizabeth's room, then she can move in with Anne. I think that's best. I don't want to disturb Vicky.
Oh, very well, Mrs. Bond.
I've put Gates in the most fearfully bad mood. I dared to suggest he was putting the band platform in the wrong corner of the marquee. He said he'd put it there for the past 5 years without any complaints. I said it had been wrong for the past 5 years and that I was complaining. Now he's down tools and stamped off.
Oh, dear, well...
I'm sorry, but I'm
yes,
right.
Well, I'll see to it.
Do anything else I can do?
No, thank you, Phyllis.
You're a bad girl. Now, come on, tell me all about Anne's young baronet.
I don't know if it's serious, Nanny. I really don't.
She's had 1 or 2 disappointments this year. You
Well,
know.
she's
Anyone
engaged.
seen her?
Oh, in the marquee, Arthur.
What? Wednesday 8. And speaking. Who? Oh, yes. Good morning to you. You will? I say, that's most awfully good of you. No, Marsham, he's going to play. No, wonderful news. Absolutely delighted. Oh, yes, I'm sure Anne will be too. But look here, you're going to stay for the weekend. Splendid. And for the dance? Yeah. Oh, now, I say, before you go, you're a bit of a bowler, aren't you? I thought you were. Yeah. Oh. No, absolute bonus. Yes, add spice to the attack. Yeah, righto. No, chap, I don't think you'll find that his standard is too demanding. Well, no. Well, any time, yeah. All right, old chap. Well, we look forward to seeing you then. Goodbye.
Nigel?
Accepted the invitation for the weekend and to play in the match. He's arriving tomorrow tea time. Oh, darling, well done. Now we can really take him on.
Hello? Anyone home?
My dear chap.
Commander Bourne?
No. I'm his father-in-law, Charles Ashley. How do you do?
How do you do, sir?
You must be the hired assassin.
Beg your pardon.
The chap brought in to bring parity to what would otherwise be a lopsided contest. The cricket match.
Oh, yes, that's right, sir. I'm Nigel Marsham.
Ah, yes. Now, your host is someone out on the lawn. He's loosening up in the nets with one of our side, a retired admiral. Oh, by the way, my dear boy, a word of warning about the Admiral. Don't call him for a short single. He doesn't hear very well, and his days of scampering down the wicket are gone, I'm afraid. Well, that applies to all of us, alas. Oh, don't worry, I'm not playing. I'm umpiring. Best do it in 4s and 6s, if you can manage it.
I'll do my best.
Yes, I bet you will. No, let me meet another member of the family. Alice, dear. Alice, wake up. Here's our young hero, Sir Nigel Marsham.
Oh, how do you do?
How do you do, Mrs. Ashley?
Oh, I'm not Mrs. Ashley.
No, this is Lady Bourne, your host's mother.
I'm terribly sorry.
Anne's grandmother.
Yes, of course.
Oh, and this is Gates, our general factotum.
Good afternoon.
Oh, good afternoon, sir. Shall I take your bags up?
Would you? Thank you. Yes, they're outside in the car.
All right, sir.
Now, where's Anne?
She went into Hereford with Elizabeth. I don't think they were expecting you till tea time.
No, I'm sorry. The old Lagonda does seem to eat up the miles. I got here sooner than I expected.
A Lagonda?
I'm sorry, Walter. Sheldon being a bit tiresome.
Well, you sent me one down that went right across the wicket. I never saw it at all.
Yes, well, I think it must have hit a daisy.
Oh, did it? Yeah, well, I thought I got it covered.
Oh, good. There you are, Marshal.
How do you do, sir?
Well, I can't tell you how glad we are to have you. So this is Sir Nigel Marsham, Admiral Graves, our secret weapon for tomorrow. So.
Marsham. Yes, I saw your innings for the MCC at Lord's the other week. Yeah, quite impressed.
It was only against Scotland.
No, I won't have that. Some very possible cricketers have come out of Scotland. I'm a Scot myself, as a matter of
Would
fact.
you excuse me a moment,
what?
sir?
Oh, yes. Oh, good Lord. Yeah. Yes, I thought you handled that leg spinner like an old veteran.
Well, thank you, sir.
Well, I say, have you had any lunch?
Yes, thank you, sir. On the way down. I'm afraid I'm a bit early.
Oh, that's all right.
Here are the girls now.
Good, good. Well, my wife's around somewhere. I think she was talking to the catering people.
Yes, of course, I played at Lord's myself, you know.
Did you?
Yes, 1898. I played for Eton against you people. Did you ever make the 11, Arthur?
I got my upper club, Walter. That was my limit.
Yes, we were a very useful team that year, 98. I made 27 not out, batting number 8. Yes, I remember that innings.
Nigel!
Excuse me. Hello, Anne.
Lovely to see you. I saw the Lagondra outside. I'm sorry I wasn't here to meet you.
I was early.
But my wretched aunt and sister decided on a shopping expedition. Oh, Elizabeth, this is Nigel. How do you do?
Hello, Elizabeth.
And you've met my Aunt Phyllis.
Yes, indeed. Hello, Aunt Phyllis.
Oh, it's lovely to see you. Oh, Mummy. Nigel. Nigel, my mother.
How do you do, Mrs. Bourne?
Hello, Nigel.
Well, I think you've met the whole team, huh?
Yes.
Well, why don't you come and see the marquee that we've put up for the dance?
Right. Excuse me.
Seems awfully nice.
Too good to be true.
Owns a Lagonda.
It's a nice height for Anne.
Well, I must go up and get changed.
Yes,
Walter.
yes, I must. Did I ever tell you about that innings, Arthur? My 27 not out against Harrow at Lord's. They had this Indian Prince bowling for the fastest fellow I've ever seen.
I hope she doesn't overwhelm him.
Put him off his batting, eh?
Oh, hello, Nanny. Where's Anne? I've just moved all my stuff into her room.
Oh, she's downstairs, I think, dearie, talking cricket with the men.
I say, what do fine pyjamas.
What on earth this thing's supposed to be?
Oh, I think it's for protection, Nanny.
Eh?
You know.
Oh, I see. Oh, and what do I do with it? Hang it up. Better put it in.
What are you two doing in here?
Unpacking for your Nigel. Seen his pyjamas?
He won't like you nosing around his things.
Oh, well, I've finished all I can manage here. He better do the rest himself. Would you like any help, dear?
Oh, no, thank you, Nanny.
This moving of rooms.
What does he want 3 bats for? He can't use them all at once.
What's he looking for?
His pipe and tobacco. You're not his servant.
No, I'm his willing slave.
Oh, Anne.
What's the matter? Don't you like him?
No, it's just you.
Oh, please. No lectures, Liz. It's my life and I'm happy for once. I really am. Yes. Sorry. I say, what does he keep in here? Oh, what ghastly colours. Here, let's put one on. Oh, Anne, you better not.
Go on.
Oh, Vogue 34.
Oh, they're ridiculous. I say, Alabuz and Barkley. I learnt this in London with Phyllis.
Isingari and the Free Foresters. The caps.
Oh. Sorry, we were...
That's all right. Ah, my pipe.
I'm sorry you got stuck downstairs. How on earth did you get away?
Some doctor arrived to see your father.
Dr. Harrington?
Is that his name? Plays cricket.
Yes. Oh, well, I must be going now. I'll see you both at dinner.
Oh, that dreary old Admiral. God, what a bore.
Yes, I'm sorry.
He ought to be locked up in the cabin of his ship and cast away at sea. Alone.
Oh, we'd better leave it.
Why?
Well, then no, we're in here.
Is that a crime?
No.
Leave it unlocked and speak quietly. Is that the form?
Well, I'm glad you came, Nigel. I didn't think you would.
Why? I've been waiting for an invitation.
Yes, but not to play cricket.
No. Well, Sussex didn't require me this weekend, and it is for charity, isn't it?
Yes, the Waifs and Strays, Mummy's chairman. I think it's wonderfully sporting of you.
Yes. You look very fetching in that cap.
See, my
Thank
goodness, I
you,
took
dear.
a buffeting from you.
Did you? Are you mended, Skipper?
Yes, much better, thanks. Bit of pre-match nerves, Harrington tells me. Well, you're going to have a glass of sherry, Doctor.
Thank you.
I say, better still. Look, why not stay and have some dinner with us? I mean, I'm sure we could find an extra place.
Well, that's very kind, sir, but I'm not ready.
Good heavens, that's fine.
Thank you, sir.
Oh.
Good evening, Lady Bourne.
Oh,
Thank you, sir. Will you be coming to the match tomorrow, Miss Bourne?
Oh, yes, I must support my father.
Did you know we have Sir Nigel Marsham playing for us, Doctor?
Yes, so I believe.
Well, we had to get someone, you know, give you a game.
Now, everyone, I insist, and Nigel agrees with me, that we are not to talk cricket all evening.
Dr. Harrington, have you met our star performer, Sir Nigel Marsham?
Yes, we have, ma'am. Oh, thank you, sir.
The doctor's playing against you tomorrow.
Really?
He's not bad, either.
How do you know?
It's common knowledge. Well, Daddy said he used to play for Wolverhampton.
Shouldn't you be playing for Sussex this weekend, Nigel?
I haven't quite established myself in the Sussex side, actually. And even if they had picked me, I think I might have been tempted to cry off in favour of this engagement.
Oh, well said, well said.
I understand the match is being played for charity, sir.
Yes, Waifs and Strays. Yes, well, come along now. Let's sit down, shall we? We take collections at the ground, and of course your presence, well, that'll help with all that kind of thing.
Well, that's very gratifying.
What a self-assured young man.
Tell me, Doctor, what kind of wicket can we expect tomorrow? A bit rough, is it?
Oh, no, I don't think you need have any worries there. The Holbury wicket's the best in Herefordshire.
But a county not exactly famed for its cricket.
Oh, what is your answer to that, Doctor?
I'm stumped.
We're talking cricket?
Now, what's the batting order, Arthur? Me to open? I'm best against the new ball.
Well, all right, Walter, but, well, I thought Nigel at 3. Well, unless, of course, you like to open with the Admiral.
Number 3 seems fine to me, sir.
Fine, well, then that'll be you and Douglas King to open, Walter. Nigel at 3. I
Oh,
thought,
Daddy, are we going to go through the entire batting order?
Yes, I'm sorry, I'm afraid we are.
Me.
Dinner's ready. Oh, good.
Do take your drinks in with you. Oh, Helen, I've asked Dr. Harrington to stay and dine with us.
Oh, yes. Oh, how nice. Well, we were odd numbers anyway. That will be nice, Dr. Harrington.
What's wrong?
Nigel's here.
Oh, Nigel, Elizabeth was telling us that you have 3 bats and a variety of different coloured caps. Is that quite sporting?
I think it's called gamesmanship nowadays, Lady Bourne.
Oh, yeah.
But since none of our team will know what the caps represent, I don't think they'll be too put out.
Well, that gives us enormous encouragement, doesn't it, Admiral?
Right.
It helps us judge the strength of the opposition.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they're unbeaten, Nigel. They beat the Gloucester Police last week by an innings.
The Gloucester Police? I say.
Well, I'm told
Can we have a wager on this game, Phyllis?
Oh, I was hoping you'd say that. It's about even so far, don't you think?
Well, I think so.
What do you think, Daddy?
Me, darling? I couldn't be happier.
Put that stuff in my car, will you?
Right, sir.
Be careful of the bats. There's a good fellow.
Ah, Gates, there we are. Good morning to you. Ah, good morning, my dear chap. It's a lovely day, not a cloud in the sky. Well, you're feeling in form?
Oh, yes, thank you, sir. Fortunately, I'm one of those lucky people who never seems to suffer from nerves.
Ah, good. All right. Oh, carrying your bat already. That's a good omen.
You know, I had a very interesting dream last night. I dreamt I took 50 off them, and I was particularly severe on a young Indian they had bowling.
Well, I don't think the Holbury Cricket Club have any Indians, Admiral. There are not many of them in this neck of the woods.
Oh, really? Ah, there you are, young man. Feeling fit and well?
Yes, thank you, sir. Good. I had an excellent night. No dreams at all.
Well, there it is. Oh, good. Now, we're all ready, are we?
Yes, Arthur, don't look so worried. It's only a game.
Disagree with you there, Charles. It's not a game. It's a way of life.
Oh.
And I can describe that best by telling you about a match I played out in Singapore. I was guesting at the time for a side called the Stragglers of Asia.
Yes, look, Walter, we would love to hear it sometimes, but I really think we should be going.
Oh, all right.
Oh, now, where are the women?
Well, I don't know.
Funny, isn't it? Our respective lovers being on opposite sides. Supposing they catch each other out.
Yes, first ball. A screamer from Brian that knocks out Nigel's middle stump.
Well, that can't happen. Brian's a wicket-keeper, isn't he? Much more likely to be the other way around.
Yes, well, it's all silly anyway. I shall fall asleep if it stays as hot as this.
Yes, and I'm bound to drink too much wine at the picnic.
Really?
No, I am sorry, Arthur.
No, it's all right, Walter. Just, save it for the man.
Mrs. Gates has surpassed herself, and so I see has the Admiral. There's enough to feed an army, including Brother's eggs.
Now, Phil, we've got to decide who's going in whose car.
Oh, darling, I'm worried about Vicky. She's arriving on the 2:36 and there's no one to fetch her from the station.
But, darling, couldn't she take a taxi?
Well, it's not very welcoming after 3 months in Germany.
Well, I'll meet her. Gates has got my car working again. I'll drop her here, then go back to the man.
Are you sure you don't mind?
Well, not at all.
Alice, my dear, you look perfectly charming.
I'm not sure that I feel it, Charles.
Well?
This heat already.
Well, it is.
Are you coming back here later?
Well, I do mean to, darling, but I've got so much to do for the dance. I shall be thinking of you all anyway.
I'm sorry.
Come on, Anne.
Sorry, are we late? Morning.
What a stunning dress. I shan't be able to concentrate on the ball.
Yes, you will. We expect great things of you.
Yes, I know. That's just the trouble.
Oh, good. Now, that's splendid. You two in your car?
Yes, sir.
I say, old chap, I wonder if I could catch a ride with you. I'm rather partial to Lagondas.
There won't be room, Grandpa.
Well, I could go in the dicky.
Afraid all my stuff's in the dicky.
Oh, well, I could have Anne on my knee. I mean, wouldn't be the first time.
You're coming with us in the Wolseley, Charles. Come along.
Oh, very well.
Well, I'll be getting along too. If you win the toss, you go to bat.
Well, I'd love to, Walter, but I don't think we dare risk it.
Skittled out by Lance last year, darling. Bye-bye, Mum. You sure you can manage?
Yes, darling, enjoy yourself. Good luck, Nigel.
He doesn't need luck, Mummy.
Well, now, we got everyone and everything.
Darling, you've even got spare bootlaces. Now hurry.
Oh, good luck, sir. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, madam.
Thank heavens for that, Kate. Now, you and I have got masses to do.
Yes, madam, we have.
How about starting with the trestle tables for the buffet?
Righto.
Right.
Hello? Anyone at home?
Oh, darling, how lovely to see you. Oh, where's Phyllis? She was supposed to meet your train.
I know. I took a taxi. Where is everyone?
Well, at the match, Daddy's cricket match.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yes. Well, darling, Phyllis was supposed to meet you at the station. Don't say her car's broken down again.
I must have.
Oh, dear. Oh, well, I shall give you the taxi money as soon as I
It doesn't matter, Mummy. Oh, it's the dance as well, is it?
Yes. Oh, my poor lamb, you must be exhausted. Will you be up to it?
I expect I'll recover.
No, leave those gates. We'll take them up later.
Oh, thanks. It's so hot. It must be in the 80s.
Yes.
I think I'll go upstairs and flop around for a bit.
Yes, do that, darling. Go and see Nanny. I'll come up and see you later. It's lovely to have you home.
It's lovely to be home.
Darling, I'm most frightfully sorry I missed her. I got talking to someone in the refreshment tent and completely forgot the time.
Yes, well, that's all right. She got a taxi. How's the match going?
Well, sit down and I'll tell you. You look as if you could do with the rest.
Yes, well, I can only spare 5 minutes. Well,
Mixed fortunes so far. Arthur lost the toss, so Horbury batted. Young Dr. Harrington was first in for them. At the end of the first hour, they had scored over 100, mainly courtesy of our atrocious fielding.
has Arthur been bowling?
Oh, yes. And at the end of his first over, miracle of miracles, Nigel took the most wonderful catch, single-handed, made it look frightfully simple, to get the doctor out for 65. I had to stop Anne rushing onto the pitch. Arthur was so thrilled, he asked Nigel to bowl the next over. And then your bank manager came in.
Mr. Bignell?
Yes. And being no respecter of persons or reputation, he proceeded to swipe young Nigel 5 times for 6. The last one went clean out of the ground and disappeared down the high street. Nigel's face was a joy.
He didn't care for it?
No, he didn't. He went very red, entered into a long and earnest discussion with Arthur, took one of his many sweaters and stopped bowling.
Sweaters on a day like this?
Well, that's what I thought. He hasn't bowled since, but he's fielded frightfully well to make up for it.
Well, what's the score?
Horbury 220 for 6. Well, they're going to declare soon, and it'll need heroics to get anywhere near it.
And Arthur's temper at lunchtime?
Quite good, considering.
Excuse me, madam. The floodlighting's up and working. And Mrs. Gates asked me to tell you the caterers are here, madam.
Good, Gates. Well, tell her that I'm coming. And do me a favour, would you see if you can unravel this? Then I think we can get it going.
Certainly, madam.
Thank you so much, Gates.
Shall I stay and help?
No. You must go and tell me how Arthur bats and Nigel. Oh, Gates, I wonder if you could take Miss Vicky's bags up to her room later. Oh, darling, you look lovely.
So do you. So does all this.
Well, I think it's all finished now. Oh, darling.
Sorry, I'm starving.
Oh, all right. Help yourself, then.
It's all right, Charles. I can manage on my own.
Hello, Granny.
Oh, Vicky, dear. How lovely to see a happy face after all those gloomy ones.
Why? What happened?
Oh, come and sit down, Mother darling, then you can tell the tale.
Hello, Grandpa.
Hello, Vicky, my darling. I'm afraid I'm in the doghouse.
Did we lose?
Of course we lost.
Badly?
Catastrophically is the word, I think.
We were all out for 92.
97. Thanks in no small part to our umpire.
Oh, now be fair, Alice. You can't blame it all on me. I mean, we were pretty feeble.
We lost by 198 runs.
No, Vicky, darling, this is serious.
Sorry.
Did Arthur make any runs?
Arthur made a blob, I think they call it these days. He was bowled between his legs, the third ball. It was quite predictable.
And Nigel?
Ah, now there's the real story.
Excuse me, madam, the band's arrived.
Oh, good, Gates. Well, take them to the marquee, would you, and make sure that they all have some beer.
Very good, madam.
Yes, now, where were we?
Nigel.
She'll get it all muddled.
I shall not, Charles. It's you that was all muddled. I do know something about cricket.
Who's Nigel?
A friend of Anne's, darling, Sir Nigel Marsham. Explain later.
The first ball he received, he played with the utmost ease into the covers and called for a single.
Yes, but he didn't call very clearly.
He called clearly enough for me to hear him, Charles, sitting on the square leg boundary.
Now, then what happened?
Our dear Admiral at the other end, not backing up, called out in a voice we all heard, "Get back, young fella."
Now, I should point out that at this moment there was still a run in it. I mean, the ball was in distant parts.
Unfortunately, the Admiral enmeshed in his bat, tripped, and fell like a wounded walrus in the middle of the pitch.
Meanwhile, one of the fielders had retrieved the ball and unleashed a mighty throw.
Just as Nigel, seeing the Admiral's confusion, turned back and made a spirited dash for home.
Arriving at the precise moment that our wicket-keeper, Dr. Harrington, their wicket-keeper, whipped off the bails.
At which point...
Excuse me, madam. Mr. Becker, the band leader, would like a word.
Not now, Gates.
Well, at this point, I, standing at square leg umpire, found myself in the unenviable position of having to give the poor chap run out.
When he was in by 3 clear feet.
Oh, well, there was a frighteningly confident appeal.
Well, of course. He was the scalp they wanted.
Well, as a matter of fact, I I was watching the Admiral. But it was such a bizarre sight. There was the old sea dog thrashing about in the middle of the pitch. You could say he'd run aground.
You ruined the match. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, how dreadful.
After that, things went from bad to worse. And to make everything worse still, the old sea dog carried his bat for 27 not out. How? Heaven only knows.
We'll never hear the end of it.
Well, I warned young Nigel as soon as he arrived about old Walter Gray.
Did you warn him about the umpire?
Well, I'm sure Nigel saw the humour of it.
Oh, I'm quite sure he didn't. He went and sat in his car for the rest of the match. Sulking, in my opinion.
Well, I don't think one can blame him. I mean, after all, he'd come all this way and so much was expected of him.
Now, did you speak to him afterwards?
Excuse me, madam. Mr. Becker'd like a word about the seating arrangements for the musicians. They want to start practicing.
Oh, all right, Gates. I'll come now.
Oh, thank you, ma'am.
And I must go and change.
Oh, yes.
Me too.
Oh, my dear.
Oh, dear.
Who is this sulky young man?
Well, he's Anne's latest beau, which makes it all the more tricky.
Your trouble, Arthur, was that you played back when you should have played forward, and you played right across it. Now, what you should have done, you should have got your head down, your elbow up, and killed the spin, just like that, you see. Down.
Yeah, well, thank you very much indeed, Walter. Oh, hello, Vicky, dear.
Sorry you lost, Daddy.
Well, it was all rather unfortunate.
Arthur, do you mind if I help myself to a drop of scotch?
Yes, I'd like one too.
No, yes, do please, help yourself.
Oh, will you help me?
Darling, I am sorry.
Oh, hello, Nigel.
Ah, there you are, Marshal. I was just telling Arthur, no terrors in that side and that attack if you were prepared to put your head down and graft a bit.
I agree with you, sir. No terrors at all. It was one's own side one had to be aware of. Excuse me, I've just got a bath.
How do you do? Hello, Anne, remember me?
Oh, hello, Vicky. I must go and change. Nigel, it's me. Hello. I'm wearing this. Do you like it?
Naturally, since I bought it.
You mustn't worry about it.
Sorry. Worry about what?
The silly game. Nobody minded.
Look, I came a long way to play what I thought was going to be a serious game of cricket, which turned out instead to be a complete farce. I'm not comforted by the fact that nobody minded. Their opinion doesn't interest me. I minded, that's the point.
You came a long way to see me, I thought.
Yes, of course. I came a long way to see you.
You do love me, don't you?
Of course I love you. It was nothing to do with you. Right. Shall we go to this dance?
Are Anne and Sir Nigel going to join us, or is she still nursing him back into a good humour?
I've no idea.
Please, darling, not enough people are dancing. Do set an example, would you? And where's Anne?
Still with sulking Baronet?
Dr. Harrington, my mother wants me to go and dance. Could you bear to partner me?
I'd be delighted, Miss Moore.
I'll get you a drink.
Marshal, extraordinary coincidence, my 27 not out. Exactly the same score that I made against you people at Lord's in 98.
Really? You amaze me.
Hello,
Marshal.
Nigel.
Ah, Arthur, I was just telling Marshal, extraordinary coincidence, my 27 not out. Exactly the same score that I made against Harrow at Lord's in 98.
Really? Yeah, Nigel, we haven't had a chance to talk, have we? I'm very sorry about your misfortune this afternoon.
No need to apologise, sir. It was just one of those things.
Well, it's very good of you to take it like that.
Well, if you don't mind my saying so, Marshal, rather a rash call, I thought.
Shall we go and dance?
Yes. Excuse me.
Is all well?
Yes, I think so.
Is this wise?
Yes, Mummy and Daddy are stuck in a Paul Jones. I had to see you alone for a minute to congratulate you on your innings.
But you don't like cricket.
It's growing on me.
I must say it was a rum afternoon.
Only because of the dreaded Nigel. The rest was perfect.
Is Anne really serious about him?
I don't know. She can't be blind, can she? Do you think I should talk to her?
No, let her sort it out. And who are you to talk about suitable young men, anyway?
What's the matter?
Nothing's the matter. I'm thirsty.
It's another Paul Jones. I think we should...
Look, leave me. Just stop trailing me about.
Do you think you've had enough?
What?
Don't you?
I haven't started. Oh, these country hops. God, what a bore they are. What have those two been doing? Are they secret lovers?
What do you mean?
Well, they've been giving each other coy looks all evening.
Hello.
Hello. He's not still in a sulk, is he? Of course he's not. Nigel?
I think you were rather unlucky.
Unlucky?
Well, I think you may have been in.
In that case, why did you appeal?
General excitement, I suppose.
Oh, I see. Yes, well, I'm not used to playing cricket with cheats.
Be so stupid. Brian wasn't cheating. How can you say such a thing? It was grandfather who gave you out. He was supposed to be on our side.
I'm not used to playing cricket with grandfathers either.
Ah, Marshal.
Or constipated admirals. God almighty.
What's the matter with the fellow?
Shouldn't we be getting back to the
Just
dance?
a minute. I think you're behaving disgustingly, and so do the rest of my family. I know you're spoilt and conceited, and a rotten sportsman. But you might show a little consideration for Anne.
Miss Bourne, I don't give a fig for your opinion of me. Nor do I give a fig for what your family think of me. I was invited here under false pretenses. And if you'll now excuse me, I mean to make the most of what remains of a thoroughly disagreeable evening.
Anne, my dear, come and talk to me and tell me all about it.
Oh, I don't know what's wrong with him. He was never like this in London.
Well, perhaps you never saw him lose in London.
As if it mattered.
It matters to him. He's a proud young man. He's been made to feel small in your eyes. That's what's hurt him.
You think so?
Anne, darling, I think you ought to do something about your young man. He's making rather an ass of himself with some local girl on the dance floor.
What?
Come again.
Thank you so nice.
Good night, very nice. Good night, very nice to see you.
Goodbye.
Good night, Mrs. Vaughan.
Good night, Dr. Harrington.
Good night, sir. Thank you so much. Delightful done.
Good night, Harrington. Well batted, by the way.
Thank you, sir.
Good night, Dr. Harrington.
Good night. Hello.
Good night.
Oh, good night.
Good night.
I'm
Come
exhausted. I
again.
think I'll go to bed.
Night, night, Vicky.
Very
Night,
nice
Granny.
to see you.
Are you ready for bed, Mother, darling?
Night, Vicky.
Yes, I suppose so. It's been quite a day. Good night, Admiral.
Good night.
And well played.
Oh, thank you.
Good night, Charles.
Good night, Alice, my dear.
Oh dear, all over, is it? Well, I was just beginning to enjoy myself. Oh, now look, I'm sure you've got a couple of bottles stashed away down there, so what about just getting one out now? Will you, just for me?
I say, old chap.
What?
Don't you think you've had enough? I'd slip up to bed now if I were you.
Oh, well, not until I've discussed with the Admiral his wonderful innings this afternoon, and I tell him what an admirable time we all had. Do you know, I haven't seen such batting since Jack Hobbs was in his prime. I mean it. I think you should take it up seriously. I'll put in a word for you at Lord's, if you like. What do you think?
Come on, old fella. You come on with me.
Yes, well, it's all right.
Yes, come
Well,
on, you
good
hold-
night, all.
Yes.
Delightful
You just-
ball.
you just
Wonderful.
hold on. No, that's steady, steady.
It's all right. It's all right. It's all right.
Yes.
Sorry. Sorry.
Will you still go down and stay with his parents for Goodwood?
If he apologises, why not?
And you've seen him in his true colours. It doesn't matter if he apologises now.
What on earth do you know about it? You're a fine one to talk. Ogling your doctor all the evening was pathetic. At least Nigel's available. And
what? That's all you could say for him, I would have thought.
oh, leave me alone.
Anne? Anne, darling. It's me, Nigel.
I didn't get my good night kiss. How about it?
Get out of here.
What are you doing here?
Get out before I call my father and have you thrown out.
Big sister protecting the little virgin, is that it?
Get out!
Yeah, all right, all right. Night, night. Sleep tight. All right. Ah, good morning, sir.
Goodbye, Nigel.
Ah, yes. I would like to say goodbye to Mrs. Bourne if she's around. Thank her for the...
Yes, but I'll do that.
Right. Well, I hope you made some pennies out of it.
What?
Charity. Collection boxes. Swell the old coffers.
I think you'd better leave straight away.
I'm sorry, darling.
What about? I made a mistake, that's all. Anyway, who wants to marry a bad-mannered, conceited Harrovian ape? Come on, let's go and have breakfast. I'm
Morning,
starving.
Vicky.
Is that going so early?
Oh, just one of the team. What a pity. I really was quite hopeful to begin with.
Of what?
Suitable husband for Anne.
Well, you wouldn't want to marry a cricketer, would you?